this stuff from all over the country, which is what this thing was really supposed to be. This whole consciousness came back the last couple of years.
If you ever buy anything from Apple,
when it came to us is an intelligentsia, which means it's supposed to be a consortium of ideas. Some person finds some stuff, they report this stuff in, and it becomes an intelligentsia. You see what I'm saying? But too often we got that same following herd mentality. You see what I'm saying? And everybody is doubled up into this sectarian corners where everybody is actually, when I find out now traveling, everybody is actually their own scientist. Right? This stuff from all over the country, which is what it's really supposed to be. When this whole consciousness came back, the last couple of years, what was really supposed to go on when it came to us is an intelligentsia, which means it's supposed to be a consortium of ideas. Some person finds some stuff, they report this stuff in, and it becomes an intelligentsia. You see what I'm saying? But too often we got that same following herd mentality. You see what I'm saying? And everybody is doubled up into this sectarian corners where everybody is actually, when I find out how to travel, everybody is actually their own scientist. Everybody is actually their own scientist. Everybody is actually their own scientist.
When I think about his goodness and what he done for me, when I think about his goodness and how he set me free, I can dance, 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 dance all night. All night. Oh, when I think about my goodness and what it's done for me, when I think about my goodness and how it set me free, I can dance, 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 dance all night. No, 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 no. Yeah. What's up, family? The choir is in the building. What's up? Y'all heard my voice, man? Come on, family. Give it up. Give it up. Come on, bring around that collection plate. Give it up. Give it up. Sunday service. Man, it's going down. It's going down. What's up, family, man? We in here, man. We in here with the goddess, Pretty Boss TV. Say what's up to the family real quick, Pretty Boss.
Peace, peace, fam. Super excited to be here. Glad I finally made it. Let's get to chopping it up.
Yes, yes. And you also know we got the deacons and the what you call them, Mook, the other people that be in the pew at the front of the pew.
Oh, we
got my sister Mook in the building. Say what's up, Mook.
Peace, family. What's good?
We got Brother Trav. Brother Trav is here.
Greetings. Greetings.
Ready.
Pastor Trav.
Greetings. Good morning.
Oh, Trav, you heard how Trav said that? He sounded like the deacon. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. And we got my lovely queen, D-Ray. What's up, babe? Hopefully.
Peace, family. Glad to be back on another Sunday. Let's have a good time.
Man, y'all already know what it is, man. Every Sunday it go down. Sunday service, it go down. We just keep getting stronger and stronger. I need y'all to donate because the choir needs more vocal lessons. Shit. Y'all heard that? I said, what y'all want me to do? It's a one-man show. It's a one-man choir show, and y'all want me to bring all this light. Shoot, I need some vocal lessons. I need some training. Pass around that collection plate. Man, let's get it in, family. Hey, I'm excited, man. We're going to dive right into this thing because I don't want to take up too much time. I want to get y'all on your way this Sunday. I know y'all like to go to IHOP and what all that other good stuff y'all like to do at the church. So let's get it in. So, Pretty Boss, I'd like to thank you first off foremost for for attending today and just blessing us with your presence and grace and all of that. And yeah, I'm excited about it.
It's a pleasure to be here. I appreciate the invite.
Yes. Can you tell us a little bit about how you started on your spiritual path and what teachers or books influenced you on your journey?
Okay, well, great question. So we're gonna have to go way back. It's different stages of my spiritual journey. So I've kind of always been this way since I was younger. I remember the first book that I ever got, and it's funny because my mother just found it. I'm looking at it right now, but the first book I ever bought that deals with spirituality, I was in elementary school, and I don't know if y'all remember when they used to send like magazines where you could order like 5 books for $1 and then pay it back later, but I got this book called, it was about palmistry. It's called Palmistry, How to Chart the Lines of Your Destiny. And I got another book about astrology. And it's like in elementary school, I don't remember if I was in fourth grade, fifth grade, third grade, but I was always kind of into those things. I never really had like, I didn't talk about it with my friends. I really didn't even talk about it with my relatives either. But I was always kind of drawn to that. And when I was growing up, I did go to church, but I never was like, I didn't have a family who forced me to go to church. Like even my mother told me like I wasn't baptized as a kid because she told me she wanted me to choose my own religion. My family they come from a Hispanic background, so many of them were Catholic. So my parents were Catholic, and then they ended up getting into more of the Baptist Christian type of thing. But when it came to me, she kind of just wanted me to make my own choice as I got older. So to make a long story short, um, now I was 19, 20. And what's so funny about it is that's when I went from being kind of like a free spiritualist to getting into Christianity. So when I was 19, 20, 21, like I was Christian heavy. Like I've read the Bible like a literal book multiple times. Like I've read it from front to back. I've read the Bible more than probably most Christians have. And it's ironic as that sounds because I don't like to put myself in any box. I don't like to call myself a Christian, a Buddhist, not even a spiritualist to be honest, but I understand that that's the term that people identify with. But during the time that I was really getting into the Bible and I had kind of shifted out of the church, but I was reading for myself and I would pray, I was praying in tongues. That's literally when my third eye opened. And
Mm.
I want to say I was 21 because I remember that's when I first moved back to my city. And so my third eye opened and I had this experience where I just read Revelations, the whole Revelations for the first time. I was on the phone with the minister of the church that I was going to at the time. And we read it, like I read it over the phone with him the whole night. And then as I closed the book and I laid down, I literally went into this open eye vision. And I wasn't asleep. I was on the phone with the minister telling him everything that I was seeing. So it's like now I'm seeing everything happening before my eyes. I'm taking over different places. Like when I was trying to astral project, there was a point in time where I was trying to channel different things and I didn't realize that I was dealing with energies that I didn't think that I was dealing with. They were like kind of deceptive energies. So it's like spirit takes me over aspects of my past and it's like I'm seeing it from a different perspective. At the end of the vision, it was basically like it was darkness following behind me, but then it was a big bright white light that I've never seen in real life came and it just illuminated the entire vision and I saw an eye come towards me. So the funny thing about it is, like I said, during this time, this is when I was in heavy Christian mode. So I came out of the vision and I remember I was explaining it to the person I was on the phone with the whole time. And when I came out of the vision, it felt good because I knew that the light had penetrated the darkness and I got to see what was going on behind the scenes. But then I was scared because I was like, oh no, am I Illuminati? Like, because of the eye. I didn't have, I was, my third eye open before I was even cognizant or aware of what Horus is or what the third eye and all of that type of stuff is. I didn't know any of that. And then after I got to a point to where it was like, I was in a transition because I realized that I was going to church, but I wasn't really getting any spiritual growth out of it anymore. I did at one point, but then at one point I just wasn't getting the spiritual growth. So I went ahead and I remember I asked spirit, I asked my higher self, like, would you send me to church just to tithe? Because that's all I was going to do after a certain period of time. And Spirit was like, no, I wouldn't do that. So that's when I was like at a standstill. I didn't know what to do. I knew I wasn't going to church anymore, but I had no idea how I was going to move forward. So then that's when I started to get back into my chakra healing. So this is like in my early 20s. This is like 21. And I started to really revisit the chakras. I came across the Kabbalion again for the probably the second time in my life, and that was the first time I was like, let me read the Kabbalion. That's one book I actually absolutely recommend. So for anybody listening who isn't familiar with Pretty Boss, y'all know, and for all my pretty bosses that might be in the building, y'all know we talk about the Kabbalion. That's about the 7 universal laws. Okay, everybody talks about the law of attraction and how do you want to attract things to yourself. You do it through the 7 universal laws. Okay, that's a deeper understanding about how the mind is all the universe is mental, and how we really pull things into our existence based upon our vibration and based upon our polarity. So after that, I kind of I was doing that. Then I kind of got off on the path because I was just about my business. I've been self-employed since forever. Like I've been all the way self-employed since 2013, but I started my self-employment back in 2010. But then in 2013, that was the last time I had a 9 to 5. So then, I met my ex-husband. We got married. I had a child, and I thought my life was mapped out. I had a business popping. I had my husband's business popping. I had my husband, my daughter. Everything was popping. And then that whole situation came falling to pieces. It came falling to pieces like after a year. So that left me in a spot to where after I had everything, I thought I had everything laid out. I found myself back in my mother's home. Okay. In the bedroom that I grew up in, in the smallest bedroom in the house with my daughter. And I never forget, I just got down on my knees. I got all the way down on the floor, and I was like, God help me. Cause it was like, it wasn't even that I wanted to still be married, but anybody knows, even when you want a divorce, that's not a simple thing. That's a huge life transition. So it's like I just got on the floor. I was dealing with so much emotionally. I didn't really have support or anybody around me who understood. So I just got on my knees and I said, God help me. And that was the true turning point of my life. So this is like when I'm 25 now at this point. Now I'm 30. So this is around 25. So I remember I'm chilling, and I just started to ask myself, like, if I ever truly want to have abundance, if I truly want to be a millionaire, a billionaire, because I've been doing business, but I wasn't getting the type of returns that I wanted at the time. I was like, what what am I missing? And it something clicked to start studying successful people. The Spirit was like, study millionaires, study multi-billionaires. How are you going to get it if you've never studied these people? So I start studying. I start looking up different videos on YouTube. That's when I came across Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, one of my favorite books, life changing, because it combines spiritual truths and material truths, which is what the world we live in. A lot of times, even for myself, when my third eye opened, let me rewind back. When my third eye opened when I was 20 years old, I'm telling you, this world, I don't know if y'all have ever seen The Matrix, but what we see in this world is nothing that it looks like. It's like when my third eye was open and my crown chakra was all the way popping, I couldn't even talk to people. I would be looking at people and actually seeing what they look like spiritually. I would be outside on a beautiful day and it didn't look like a beautiful day. I would actually see what it looks like energetically, which it doesn't look like nothing that we see. We live in a very low vibrational planet, and right now it's a pivotal time because we're literally the light workers are. It's like the DNA of the universe, of our planet that we live on is restructuring from 3D base reality to the fifth dimension. It's taking a quantum leap. So when my crown opened, remind you back 20, I'm like, it put me on such a head spin that it's like I was trying to do everything to shut it down. It's like it was too open. My third eye was too open. I wasn't able to live in harmony with the material realm because I was seeing everything spiritually. This is a time that I was fasting. I didn't even have to eat or sleep, y'all. It was crazy. It's like I wasn't eating and I wasn't sleeping and I didn't need anything to sustain. I was literally living completely off of spiritual energy. So it got overwhelming because I'm like, I can't even step outside of my house. I can't go to Walmart without feeling the literal energies of the people who are in here. So I tried to do everything to shut it down. I started drinking. I started having sex again because I was celibate at the time. I tried to do everything to shut down my third eye, shut down my crown chakra. So during that time, I came to a better balance, and that's when I met my husband. And then that's why I say that tower moment came down and I got on my knees. So fast forward again, now we're back. And I'm like, I just want to be successful. I just want to be able to be to a point to where I continue to go up and not have to go down. And that's when I started to read different books. I came across Abraham Hicks. I'm not sure if anybody's familiar with Abraham Hicks, but I absolutely love her teachings. It was like hearing, like an angel from the sky speaking to me, because she broke down how simple it is to attract abundance. And that was the first time I felt like I heard real truth. And so I would listen to her. I was listening to her for months, and I was reading books. I was reading Think and Grow Rich. I was looking at other people who were very successful and reading different books. And that's when I started to share what I've always had inside of me my whole life. Like I said, I started doing chakras back in my 20s. Like, I can teach you about chakras inside out. I know when it's blocked, when it's unblocked, what you need, what you don't need. Like, that's something that I'm adept with. And now I just teach what I know. People sometimes ask me about all kind of stuff. I'm like, I don't know how to do that. I could tell you what I've used. There's millions of things that you can do spiritually. People come up with all kinds of stuff. We have the internet. There's 1,025,000 ways to skin a cat. But it's like, I basically just stick to what I know. I elevated myself through chakra healing, and that's energy healing. People don't even understand, like, all you're doing with chakras, that's like energetic healing. That's basically healing with light energy. And through the mind, right? So it's like I transform my life by transforming my energy, which helped me to transform my thoughts. So I just had to pay attention to what I started to consume. It's a lot of things I blocked out. I really don't watch TV. I have cable, and I'm pissed at myself because I never watch it. But it's like, I don't watch TV, even on YouTube and certain things. There's just a lot of things that I don't consume. I'm very conscious about what I let into not only my body, but into my mind and into my spirit. So that's a summary of how I got on this spiritual journey. It's been a long time coming.
Yes, yes. Yeah, that's powerful, man. And we all got like kind of interesting story that propels us to the spiritual plight and just our understanding of ourselves and knowing ourselves, and just growing within this matrix, this illusion, and just filling out everything. Like, there's certain traumas or situations that happen that propels us to say, you know what, let me reevaluate what I'm doing, and challenge myself in a way. You know what I'm saying? Let me pick up this book. Let me search for something, right? And what happens is, a lot of people, they tend to not search, or try. Well, not a lot of people will. You just talk about the dead. They tend to not try to figure out what's going on with themselves, or, how they can change their situation. And it's such a powerful thing for you, powerful acumen, business acumen at that, for you to do that. And I just really love your business acumen, and how much energy you have in that aspect of, making things happen. Like, I think I just watched 2 videos of yours yesterday, and I think they both came out yesterday. So just the energy you moving with, just the kind of because it takes a lot of energy to put these videos out, you know what I'm saying? And just do your thing, do these readings, and tap into this tarot. Can you explain a little bit what it takes to be like a pretty boss, what that energy is encapsulated with, and where are you pulling this energy form from?
You are asking absolutely incredible questions. Okay, so that's an excellent question. And I'm glad you said that, because it's like, a lot of people will see what I do, but I know that most people don't even understand like the
Yeah.
level of energy it takes. Even when you're talking about just doing one YouTube video, and I know y'all understand because y'all do this as well. But it's like, when you're doing videos, and it's like, I don't only have a YouTube channel, but I'm also running a Patreon, which is a membership channel. And then I also do personal private readings. I'm also a mother, and I also have businesses on the side.
Yep.
So it's a great question. It's like, the thing about it's all about increasing my energy. It's like, again, what am I consuming? So I'm always kind of, one of the things that I do, even if I'm not literally meditating, like in the cross leg position, saying the sound, I'm very meditative. most of the time, if I'm not actually working or if I'm not in the middle of healing, like we were talking about later, we're purging a lot of different emotions. If I'm not in a healing process or if I'm not actually working, then I'm very meditative. My mind is just clear. And it's like, it's really something bigger than me that I pull from. It's funny because it's like, even it's to the point where I could be going through personal things in my life. Even now, like this whole year, like this year and last year has been extremely hard for me. Nobody would know that because I'm still producing, but it's like I'm to the level and I'm to the point within my own journey to where it's like once I tap into my frequency, I tap in. So it literally doesn't matter if I just had an emotional breakdown or something tragic or dramatic just happened to me. As soon as I step into my channel, which is what I call pretty boss, everything else is cleared out. I have like a clear channel that I've created for myself. So it's like, think about, it's weird. This is gonna be like a weird analogy, but it's like, you're living life, you have your bathroom, you chilling in your bathroom. But then if you want to go get clean right quick, you just hop in the shower. It's like that's what I do. It's like I literally just hop into a different vibration. And I'm so used to that vibration now that it doesn't matter what I'm going through. It doesn't matter if I'm going through personal life things. It doesn't matter none of that. Like when it's time for me to tap in, I could just step into that channel. And I feel like that's a result of, like we were talking about earlier before we got on the live, like it's an art, it's a process. It's like the more you do it, the easier it gets. And it's like regardless of anything that's going on around you, you build such a strong vibration right there that it's like you can always just tap into it regardless of what's going on. So I would say the way that I got there was through dedication, was through really committing myself to my spirituality. Because let's talk about it, like it was points in time, especially when my whole goal was money. Because like when I was first doing business back 2010, 12, 13, 14, like my whole thing was I was trying to make money. I used to do websites and photography. So my whole thing was like looking at the bottom line. Like I was definitely doing my best work, but it's like I wasn't really trying to figure out how I could service the masses of people. Like that's not what I was on. I was on trying to build my coins up. And so when I was doing that, I would get success, but it's like I would lose things and I wasn't able to sustain. It wasn't until I really committed myself to my spiritual path, which the Most High did that, because the Most High knocked me down to rock bottom plenty of times. I've hit so many damn rock bottoms that it's like it makes you it makes you connect. Like, okay, you can keep doing the same thing you've been doing, or you can really dedicate to the path that I put you here to do. So it's like when I really dedicated myself to my spirituality and my spiritual work and meditating and reading and being conscious about people who I have in my life, it's like as many people follow me, as many people that I have that is uplifted by Pretty Boss TV. Like, you know how many people I've lost in my personal life? It's like I've literally dedicated myself to this. And now it's like now that I'm living this path, now that I'm doing what I'm doing as Pretty Boss TV spirituality, I've lost some of the people that I thought will always be in my life. You're talking about friends, you're talking about family, all kinds of people that I thought would always be there. But it's like my vibration has shifted to a completely different degree where it's like there were sacrifices that had been made. And so that's hard. A lot of times people don't stay on their path because it's like, well, I really want to still have this person in my life. Or you're evolving and it's like now you're not relating to the people who you were once friends with and it makes you feel lonely. So now you want to go back. That's the moments where you have to decide what's the choice that you're going to make. Are you going to go back? Are you going to continue to go forward even when you don't know what lies ahead? You just have to trust spirit. And so me being really dedicated to spirit and making choices based on serving my higher self so that I can do what I came here to do, that's when the Most High literally gives me the strength. Because I swear to God, like I don't know how I do all the things that I do. I don't. Like when I go to sleep at night sometimes, especially during the weekday, like the lightest days for me is Sundays and maybe Mondays sometimes, but or Saturdays and Sundays. But it's like when I go to sleep during the weekday, I crash. Like it's over. Like I do all my work and I'm done. And then I wake up the next day and I literally, it's like my feet hits the ground and I'm running and I don't look back. I don't even take a break to be like, oh my God, I have all these things to do. Like I don't do that. I put everything down on my checklist the night that before I go to sleep or what I need to do the next day. And when I get up, I just do it like without even thinking about it. And it's like the Most High supplies me with the energy, but it's because I've been dedicated and it's because I've created a vibrational space that I can just hop into, just like you can hop into the shower anytime you want. That's kind of the only analogy I could think to use. But that's how I do it. It's just dedication And as we were talking about earlier, it's an art, it's practice. The more you do it, the better you get at it.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I love that. I got a question for you, but I'm gonna let my sister drive this question. What's up, Moot?
Hey, no, well, listening to you is amazing. And I love the testimonial because can you hear me? Sorry, my phone went out. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. So it's beautiful because even though our journeys are all very different, we all have like very similar things that happen along the path, and like balancing out the highs and lows. And I think it's so important that you said that when you do become dedicated to your spiritual work, you do lose a lot, but you're gaining so much more spiritually. And people don't, I know that's for a lot of people that subscribe to my channel, that's the hardest part. Well, I love this person, or I love these people, or I keep trying to get these people to understand this. And one of the biggest things, and I'll let you talk about it, is, you know, how do you know when you're ready to go to that next level? Because for me, whenever it's been a major shift has happened, I have had those tower moments like you were talking about, where it's like, okay, things are falling apart to come together, and something or someone I know is going to get eliminated out of my reality, because things are starting to shift, and certain pieces no longer fit anymore. And I think a lot of people have trouble with, well, I want to take these people with me. And it's like, you have to be dedicated to your spiritual life so much that you have to be willing to say, okay, if this doesn't serve me, I'm gonna let it go. And sometimes it's the people closest to us, sometimes it's your mom, your dad, it could be whoever, and you're not wanting to see it that way. But I guess my question is to you, like, when it is a level up, what is like a strong?
Hello, can you say that last piece again? You said when it is a level up, what, sis?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I heard you at what, when it's a level up, but then you cut off.
Yeah, what is this like? What is this like signals that you get within your environment, or what's a strong indication for you that it is about to be a leveling up time?
Basically, like what you just said, like it's like everything starts to fall apart, and people, especially the ones who is no longer gonna go to that next level with you, it's like they reveal themselves to you. They do something that could complete, it's like you didn't expect it. It's like some, it feels like a betrayal, or it feels like a heartbreak, or it feels like a deception. Like, wow, you out of all people, like I feel like the person or the people who's not coming to that next phase with you always reveal themselves in some type of way, because that's how it happens to me. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
at first it used to always shock me, and it's like, I mean, I'm not gonna say I don't hurt about it now. Like, it does hurt, but it's like I know where it comes from, so it doesn't throw me off anymore. It's not surprising. It's like, okay, I see what we're doing right now. Like, this is another phase again. But it's like the people,
Mm-hmm.
the person will always do something. They will either say something or do something to where it's like, now you've exposed yourself in a way that, damn, I can't even ignore this. Like, spirit is
Yeah,
allowing you to do
undeniable.
it.
It's
Right.
undeniable.
And so I just take it. It's like what I started to do was realizing, like, this is, instead of getting mad or getting hurt about the situation, not saying that it doesn't hurt, because it does hurt. Every time it hurts, it just hurts less and less once you start to recognize the process and understand, like, you know what? I got to the point where I'm like, look, people who are supposed to be in my life are going to be there regardless, and whatever the Most High takes out of my life always is replaced with something much better. And even for that process, is like in losing so many people, like the funny thing about it is it makes you stronger. And the way that it makes you stronger is it makes you stronger in your connection to source. Because
Mm-hmm.
we know we live in a planet, we want relationships. None of us are born to be lonely. That's why there are 7 billion people on the planet. But sometimes in those relationships we get so comfortable, and we get so much fulfillment where we're filling our own voids and codependencies of what we haven't healed within ourselves, and we use external relationships to do that. So a lot of times as we start to elevate, what we don't realize is that we're actually healing within ourselves, and that relationship that was probably some form of a codependent relationship no longer serves. And then other times spirit take people out your life because it's like you're focusing all of your attention over here, and you got to understand that your main connection, your main relationship is with source. That's what it's about. And it's like when we stay connected to that energy, to our higher selves, to whatever people want to call it, whether it's God, the universe, source, the God within, the goddess within, when we stay connected to that, life becomes so much effortless. And it's like a lot of times I realized, like, when people were stripped out of my life after they revealed themselves, I also realized that what was I doing at the time? I was putting more of my energy into those relationships than I was putting into my own source energy. And so
Mhm.
it's, I feel like it's a reminder of what are you doing here? Because at the end of the day, we come here to live a beautiful life and to enjoy people and to enjoy fancy things. But most importantly, we come here to serve. We all came here with a mission. And I know everybody on this call, probably everybody in the chat, we're light workers. We came here to elevate the frequency of this plane that we live in right now. We're doing something huge. What a lot of people don't understand, this is a 3D planet. This is one of the most lowest vibrational planets in the solar system.
Mhm.
There's treacherous things that happen here. Some of the things that we've experienced and some of the things that happen on this planet, that's not necessarily necessary for evolution. And that's why we're outgrowing that. It's like we're literally, as a collective, coming here to shift this planet into a higher frequency, like some of the other ones and some of the other places that we come from, at least to the fifth dimension. So I feel like, as a light worker especially, we get hit the hardest, we lose the most, because we literally have a mission. Like, we do. A lot of us don't even realize that we're not actually earth beings. We're here, we're light workers, we're in this flesh, we're living on earth right now during this time, but we came with a specific mission to help, especially people who have been incarnating on this planet for generations and generations, to help them get out, to help them elevate. So we get hit the hardest because we don't have a chance. It's like we don't have a choice. Like, no, you're gonna enjoy life if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing spiritually, but if not, we get knocked around, because it's like we came here literally with one specific mission. But once we do that, we start to tap into that. It's like, trust me, the other side is beautiful. There's just so much abundance. We're able to, all of the pain that we've experienced, we're able to experience the equal and opposite of that as we do what we were sent here to do.
Exactly. Facts on facts on facts. Yes. We born by ourselves, die by ourselves, huh? And shit. At the end of the day, we are here for one purpose only. You, your own universe. Go ahead, babe. Let's see what you got. What's up?
Okay, so man, y'all two are dropping Pretty Boss. You are bringing a lot of beautiful, resonant energy. So I love it and I'm grateful for it. So one, you have so much content on YouTube. So for my questions, they just gonna be going everywhere. Okay, I'm gonna ask about every single thing. But something that you said earlier was about channels, right? Channeling. And I think in our spiritual journey, we have to be able to receive the channels to know what we're supposed to be doing and when we're supposed to be doing it. So my question to you is, in what ways do you best receive your spiritual channels? For example, for me, it may be through music. I may be in the car riding, singing a song, and spirit would just hit me with something. Boom, download, got it. I feel like understanding your energetic space and when you can best receive is so important. In what ways do you receive your spiritual channels?
That's a great question. Now, before I answer how I personally do it, I do want to say, like, what you said is beautiful because everybody's different. See, and the way we receive our channel is whatever relaxes us. So I'll tell you what relaxes me, like Netflixing and chilling. Like, I know that sounds funny, but it's like it's always at least one series on Netflix that I'll be able to find, especially since I don't watch television much. Especially like if I feel clouded or I feel stuck, I'm just like, you know what? Bump it. I'm just gonna find a good series to watch on Netflix. And I promise, every time that puts me in a space, because it's like when you're watching a good series, it's like no longer are you living in your world, like you're living in this fake reality that's on this television screen. So it's like that's one of the things that always gives me the space to just be like, it click. Like, even I remember one of the last things, like I was coming out of a very hard dark night of the soul, like even at the beginning of this year. And I was like, let me watch Queen of the South. So I started watching Queen of the South, and like by episode 3, I had my entire epiphany. I was like, oh my God. And it just gave me so much energy and momentum to just keep moving forward and understand that I can step into my parallel universe. I don't have to be embodying the pain that I'm feeling right now. And so Netflix is one of them. Also, like dreaming, like just going to sleep. Like I work a lot. So sometimes my best thing to do is to go to sleep. Like I had a lot of work to do. Like I had a lot of readings to catch up on. I wonder if it was either Friday or Saturday. And I was gonna do the readings, but I was like, you know what? Let me just chill with my daughter. We watched some type of Disney movie, and I ended up falling asleep early. Like I went to sleep at like 9 o'clock, which is very untypical for me because I usually go to bed at probably like 12 or 1 and then wake up at 5. So I went to sleep early that night. I went to bed at 9, and I had a complete revelation in my dreams. Like, so sleeping, like actually getting adequate rest to where it's like I'm not knocked out and I actually go to sleep. That's where I get all, like even last night, that's where I get all of my downloads. Like I'm a dreamer. And then if any of those above, one way that I could always tap in personally is just through meditation. Like just sitting down and, clearing my mind. Cause it's like, and one thing about it, I meditated so much that it's easy for me to do. It's just sometimes I don't want to do it. It's like it's the rebellious streak in me. Like, no, I don't feel like meditating. But literally, I'll just sit down for like 2 minutes and I go all the way in, and it always gives me like clarity and peace of mind. So those are the three ways: Netflix and chilling, getting sleep, and meditation.
I love that because your responses are so individual. And I think within spiritual people on this path have to be able to know when their intuition can communicate with them and send them the messages that they need to go forward on this path. Now, with you bringing up the dream space, it's funny because I thought about this morning after I woke up. Oh, that's what I want to ask Pretty Boss, because I remember in the past you made some videos on astral projection and things of that nature. And so my next question to you is, what is your experience with astral projection? It's 3 parts. What's your experience with astral projection? Why is it so important? And what, in your opinion, is the easiest way to be successful in astral projecting?
Oh, that's a wonderful question. And it's so funny because even when I was giving my background story about how did I start my spiritual journey, like I left that complete part out. So astral projection was one of the first spiritual things that I literally was trying to do. So I remember when I was in college, when I was 19, that's the first time I started trying to astral project because I don't know, I had came across like this article. I used to research like, how do you know if you're from this planet? Because ever since I was young, like I knew I just didn't feel like it was just I was always different than most people I knew. So I was Googling stuff and then I can't end up coming across something that said something about astral projection. And when I read about it, I was like, yo, this is facts. I know I'm able to do this. So I used to sit in my room. It's a book. First of all, if y'all haven't, anybody who's interested in astral projection, if you haven't heard of this book called Astral Dynamics, I think it's by Robert Bruce. Astral Dynamics by Robert Bruce. I read that book back then because it was online for free, like as a PDF. You can still find it online for free. That book gives you such good like insight on how to astral project. It gives you different activities to do. So I would try different things in this book, and it's like I remember it took me months. I used to call my mom and get really frustrated, like, "Mom, I've been trying to astral project, and I still haven't astral project." And it had already been many months. Sorry about that. It had already been many months, and so then I ended up. I remember the first time that I started to be able to tap into my astral body. I would sit in my chair. This was when I was in college, so I had like my office room. I would sit in my chair, and then I would be able to see myself in the spirit realm, but then I wouldn't be able to remove myself from the chair. So it's like I might be able to move my legs and my arms, but I couldn't get all the way out my body. So I was trying to do this, y'all. The first time I was trying to astral project, literally, I was trying to do this thing for like 9 months to a year with no success. And then I remember I went to the Bahamas with my family and I was sleeping that night. And I want to say it was right before I turned 21. That's when I had my first astral projectual experience and I wasn't trying to do it. It was just induced and I woke up. And then when I was in the astral realm, I was able to go wherever I mentally wanted to go. Y'all, I went to the White House. It's funny because I always tell people about that, but I got kicked out of the White House because it's like what people don't understand is our government, people don't understand that's a very spiritual thing, and they don't only have physical bodyguards, but they got spiritual bodyguards too. So I couldn't even get access in there. They got me up out of there quick. But it's like I went to a few different places. I had conversations with some of my relatives to where I really wanted to know truths about things, and they gave me the truth. But it's like I realized like there is a certain part of spirituality where you have to have integrity, because even if you're having conversations on the spiritual plane, People might not know what y'all talked about in the flesh, but people spiritually pick up on it. So that taught me, that's a whole nother lesson I learned about integrity as well. There's just still certain things that even if you can have access to, you still got to give people their privacy, and you always want to have a person's consent before you have conversations or any type of thing with people in the astral realm. With all of that being said, anybody who's interested in astral projection, the main practice, even if you don't look up any books, the main practice that you have to really get a good grasp on is meditation. Okay, and once you get to the point, because what astral projection is this? It's very simple. Astral projection is when you're able to put your physical body to sleep and keep your conscious mind awake. That's literally all the astral projection is. And then you have access to your etheric or your astral body, and because you're conscious. So now you can consciously move it up outside of your body. So when you meditate, when you really get a strong meditative practice, that's what you do during meditation. That's literally, if you're actually meditating, if you're actually getting to the source, it's like your physical body is asleep, but your conscious mind is awake. And it's like you put yourself in a different space. And also, when you talk about healing chakras, going back to why my body used to be stuck, I didn't used to understand why my body was stuck. But you have to also strengthen your chakras. A lot of people don't have a strong enough solar plexus chakra. So even if you're inducing these outer body experiences, you're not able to get out of your body because you might have a weak solar plexus. And you need that also in the astral realm. So if anybody's interested in astral projection and you don't know where to do or what to start, get you a strong meditation practice and really start to heal all of your chakras, so that when you have that time where you're finally able to come up out of your body, you'll be able to get out of it with no problem. And also, like, I'll say this, like when I was married, I got to the point where it's like I was astral projecting like every night. It got to the point of astral projecting that I was doing it so easily. I remember I was sleeping with my husband and I astral projected like 3 times in one night. I was like, I'm done. Like, it's cool because I didn't have anything to do. Like, I didn't have anything I was trying to figure out. So it's like, even now, like a lot of times, oh, this is another thing, like sleeping on your back, you're much more likely to have an outer body experience.
That's what I was going to next.
Right. It's like, because that's anybody on the call, whoever experienced sleep paralysis. If you get sleep paralysis, people tell you it's witches riding you and all that. No, that's like the beginning stages of astral projection. My whole life as a kid, I used to always have sleep paralysis, like since 7th grade, and it used to frighten the crap out of me. And then I got to the point, like as I got older, I was like, oh, this is like the beginning stages of outer body experience. So then once you calm down, you realize that you can get out of your body. So those are the things that for me that did it. But it's like even now, like I have, like when I wake up in those moments where it's like sleep paralysis and I can astral project, I usually just go back to sleep. I don't really use it unless there's something deliberate that I needed to do. But
no, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, I was about to say, but once you really get the practice, then it's like, like, I mean, you can do it. Like once you figure it out, it's like, okay, I got it.
Okay.
Because with astral projection, it's the experience, how you explained it is almost to the T of how mine happened. This was like, for those who don't know, I went to Howard. So while I was at Howard, I started having, this is about 2012, I started having a lot of spiritual experiences. And me and this guy I used to like smoke weed with all the time. We would just kick it in. We were both kind of on a weird spiritual path that we didn't really know. Like, okay, he's like, it started like, you believe in aliens? Okay, you believe in this? Like, like little questions like that. Like, okay. And then one day he's like, well, do you meditate? And I'm like, yeah, I meditate. He's like, well, do you know how to get out of your body? And I'm like, well, not really. I never really tried it. And the first thing he said was, well, I read this book and it said, all you have to say is mind awake, body asleep. He said, lay on your back and say mind awake, body asleep. And I said, okay. So I started repeating that multiple times and I didn't really know what was going to happen. A few days later, I'm laying in the bed and I wake up and I'm in sleep paralysis. And I'm like screaming, like, help, come get me. Like somebody come get me. And nobody's here. And I'm like, I know I hear, people in the house, like, what is going on?
Exactly.
And like, and I'm screaming and I'm like, please, whatever. And then I just remember reading something about sleep paralysis. Like, if you're ever in sleep paralysis, do not panic because you can have a physical heart attack, So it was like, do not panic, just, breathe. So I'm like, okay, I was like, first thing I said was, God.
Exactly.
God. And I swear my body just snapped. Like I fell back into my, reality. It came back together and I just like got up and I remember looking around the house and I didn't see anybody in the house. And I'm like, dang, I thought I heard people. And what I realized years later is that when I was in between that space, is that I was actually hearing into another dimension. So I'm thinking I'm hearing people in the house talking to me, and I'm not. I'm literally hearing my consciousness in the astral realm, and so I'm like, what? Like, I'm thinking I'm hearing people talk. It's like I was hearing people talk, but it wasn't people physically talking. It was just me hearing, in my conscious mind from the astral space, and my consciousness hadn't made it back to my body yet. That's the paralysis, your consciousness not having made contact with the physical body.
Exactly.
So now that when that happens, I'm like, okay, and I know if I ever want to, that's an easy practice for people who want to practice astral projection. You just lay on your back, like she was saying. It's easier for those out of body experiences, and you say mind awake, body asleep, and it trains your subconscious mind to help you get into that space easier. And I would even spontaneously now, I'll spontaneously astral project when I'm going through. I notice it the most when I'm having like a timeline jump. So I tell people about the 2-cup method all the time, which is like taking a quantum leap on purpose. And so when you do that, you feel a timeline change, energetically. And I'm very sensitive. And for people who are more sensitive to energy, you'll feel these different shifts happening in your environment on a deeper level. So whenever that happens, I'll have spontaneous astral projection, which is really me just my consciousness trying to catch up. My physical body trying to catch up with my consciousness, having made this leap into another space, timeline, dimension, realm, whatever you want to call it. So I'll have that spontaneous astral projection where I'm hearing even ideas, and I'm getting different downloads from the next timeline that's telling me now here in the physical how to reach that timeline. So if I make a leap saying, okay, well, I want this, or I want this car, or I want this, next $1 million idea, or whatever the case may be, I'll have spontaneous astral projections from the higher self or me in another timeline saying, if this is where you want to get to, this is what you need to do. And that's how I'll get the download from my higher self. And it comes through as like a spontaneous astral projection, where I can feel my consciousness having jumped ahead of me and my physical body having to do the work to catch up to that space and time that I want to get to. Does that make sense?
No, yeah, that's perfect. And especially you said one thing that I hope all the viewers got, because I know it works. That'll be dope. Like when you say body asleep, mind awake, like I know that'll work. That's a good tip that you gave. I never used that one, but I know that worked. It reminds me of a meditation that I used to do, that as you breathe in and out, you say, I'm not my body, I am not my mind. So I know that would help you, especially with the astral projection. But no, that's how it works. And one thing you were making me think of, because you was talking about spontaneous astral projections, what I want everybody on the call to understand, like even the viewers listening, what I want all the viewers to understand is you literally astral project every night. It's just most people aren't conscious about it, but we always go to the astral realm. So even when you're talking about lucid dreaming, that's a different form of astral projection, but that's now you're just in a reality in a space, and you can you can change it or you can control it. Astral projection, when you do that, it's just more deliberate. So even like what you're saying, it's like, well, if I'm trying to figure out how to do something, I can go into that realm and get the download. And then now I can figure out what to do in the 3D. That reminded me of what I was talking about just the other night. Like 2 nights ago, I went to sleep and I was trying to figure out, like, we're on a 30-day money challenge on Patreon. My money goal is astronomical. So it's like I haven't hit nowhere near my money goal. I've been bringing money in, but my money goal is like even beyond me. Like, so the other night, I literally, when I went to sleep, I had a dream about everything that I need to do to get that money goal. You see what I'm saying? So that was an astral experience, but it just wasn't me actually trying to astral project my body. So it's like, even when people go to sleep, like once you realize that you're astral projecting every night, sometimes that's why it's like you might feel like you wake up or you just spontaneously astral project, but that's just you being conscious in your dream realm. You see what I'm saying? Because that's where we get all of those downloads from. And it's like our dream realm is so significant. Like that's my favorite realm. That's my place to go. That's why it's like when I don't get enough sleep, that's where I'm shortchanging myself because that's literally where I get all my and it's like whatever you need to know, whatever you've been asking for in your subconscious mind, that's where you'll get your answers. So no, you said it perfectly, like right on point. And it's funny too, because you said you started screaming like God. Like that when I was a kid, I will like y'all like 3, 4. Imagine this happening to like a preteen teen. This happened to me my whole life until I got to college, and it still happened in college, but it's like 3, 4 times a night that would happen to me. And I hated it. So I used to always sleep with the night light on. And I'll wake up and that's how I would be in my dream. I'll be like, God help me, God help me, God help me. And then I'll start
Praying.
No,
Praying to come
Right.
out.
Yeah, that's how it goes. That's
Praying
how
to
it be,
come out.
man. You be literally afraid of it them first few times when you astral projecting. You be like, "What the hell is this?" And the guy Trav, he actually got a whole bunch of. He recommended a whole bunch of books on the subject, and it was powerful, man. I had actually got one of the books Trav had recommended. You know what I'm saying, just to kind of refresh my whole mission. Trav, you there? What's up? What was that book? I can't remember that one book. You on mute, Trav?
All right, you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which book? Which book was it that you got?
Man, it was one of them astral books that you had recommended that the family should go and get. It was a black book. I remember seeing it in one of your videos, but yeah, it's a powerful book, man, and that'll help the family if they need to, learn some techniques or some ideas on how to astral project, and tap into that whole
I got the book.
thing.
Yes, I think the one that you're talking about is The Art and Practice of Astral Projection by Ophiel.
Yeah, that one. That's it. Yep.
I like this one because the other ones that I have, they're a bit wordy, a bit thick, but this one, as you can see, is very thin and it gets right to the point. It actually takes a lot from these other books, but it has about 3 different techniques that the guy uses to astral project. One of my favorite ones is because see, my whole approach to magic that I'm learning is that it's not like you do a spell and you got it. Like what they teach us from movies and stuff is like you do a magic spell and then everything happens. Like what we were saying before this call started, it's a process, it's a lifestyle, it's a practice, it's an art. So as you do it more and more, you begin having more results. So it's like do this stuff, you train every day, and then what you put in is the more that you get out. But the technique that I was referring to in here, one of them is like as you go about your day, you want to pick a very familiar spot. Like for me, I used to go on walks a lot. And what I would do is I would walk and I would just mentally take a picture of everything that I passed by, like the road sign here, fire hydrant here, this thing, that thing. And it was just a straight shot all the way up this main. The book talks about making little points, every, couple of feet, you mark this little fire hydrant, you mark this little crossing or this sign or this shop. And what you do before you go to sleep is you sit there and you just kind of visualize yourself coming out of your body and going down that same path. Now, it doesn't have to be a long distance like I did. You can just do a path around, like visualize going downstairs, visualize seeing like the thermostat, visualize where the TV is. And basically you make your rounds in your imagination. And then it talks about when you do go to sleep, you say the affirmations like what you guys were talking about, Mook and Pretty Boss, body asleep, mind awake, which is actually one of the phrases they teach in this book, Astral Dynamics. But you talk to yourself, you tell yourself, I am going to astral project tonight. And then when you do, it's a lot easier to start small with a familiar place. You go through your house, or for me, I used to go up that street late at night. But as you do that, you begin to integrate the imagination and the what do you call it? Distance sight. What do you call that?
Oh.
Find it, Trav.
Hold on.
What?
Remote viewing. That's it. Remote viewing.
Oh, remote
viewing.
Because remote viewing is almost a mix of receiving and transmitting, right? Like, say if you were to project to the White House, you've never been there physically inside, but you can kind of take some of the pictures that you've seen and kind of put the pieces together. Because one of the things also that this book Astral Dynamics talks about is you may not, there's different sections in the astral realm that you can go to. And the thing about dreams is it's all symbolic, because the subconscious mind and the right brain being so chaotic, it's a receiver of information. So it kind of interprets things the best way that you can understand it. That's why a lot of dreams can be chaos. But if you understand what these symbols mean to you, it's really your brain interpreting those frequencies, those waves, and translating it into a language that you can understand. For example, there's areas in the astral realm that are rest and recharge and healing areas. There's centers where you can replenish your energy, replenish your creativity, and things like that. But for someone who doesn't know anything about this, they might go there and see a hospital. So they might astral project to a hospital and see people healing from it. And really, they're in one of these astral healing centers. So it's all about interpretation. And again, that's why I say it's very good to get symbol dictionaries and encyclopedias of spirits and things like that, so you can widen your vocabulary, your spiritual vocabulary. Because you approach these different places, it's just like in the Bible. Whenever homeboy was astral projection and revelations, he was describing things that he's never seen before. So the best thing he could do was relay it in symbols. I saw 7 candlesticks. I saw 7 seals open. I saw an angel standing here, 1 foot on the earth, 1 foot in the water. These are all symbolic. The reason that preachers can't decode these things is because their dictionary of symbols is very limited. But the occultist understands that everything is coded in symbols. But yeah, as far as astral projection, you want to get the art and practice of projection by Ophir. Adventures Beyond the Body, that's a decent one. Astral Projection by Oliver Fox. This one's pretty good too. It's a little bit older, but this one right here, Astrodynamics by Robert Bruce, like Pretty Boss mentioned. These two, I would say, are probably the best ones you need to get.
Let me jump in here real quick for a question for Pretty Boss. Still on the topic of astral projection, or just astral dream work, period. Because, and everybody can actually chime in on this, because what I'm realizing right now is that it's so important, like you said, Trav, to recognize these symbols, because y'all, we can heal from the astral realm. Like, so it's not always about receiving the messages as to what you need to do to manifest something in this life, but what about using the astral realm or your astral travel to determine what actually needs to be healed in you in this realm? Because our dreams can really be emotionally charged, and it can be signs to say, hey, you thought that was healed, but based off this dream, it's really not healed. You still feel some type of way about something you've experienced in your waking life. How have y'all used astral travel, astral projection to actually heal in this present or in this waking life, like waking reality?
So that's a great question. And see, that's what we're talking. This is what you really use spirituality for. That's really what you're supposed to do. Those things. There's nothing wrong with manifesting. You see what I'm saying? We got to do that too. But that's really what the work is here. Because as we heal ourselves, we're able to help others heal as well, which is the whole point. That's like the whole purpose. So that's why I go back to saying what I said. People got to realize that we astral project every night when you dream. Like, you're literally doing it. A lot of people are like, how do I astral project? You might not have been conscious that you did it, but you astral project every night. So making sure that you're taking time to get adequate sleep is one of the most important things, because like you're saying, we heal in our sleep. That's what the dream world is for. That's what that astral realm is for. It help even without consciously having to be like, you know what, I need to heal. Just like you said the key, you'll have dreams about certain things. And it's like, damn, I was feeling some type of way in the dream last night. So obviously this is something I still need to work on. This is the area I still need to cleanse. And so it brings those things to our awareness. And once they're in our awareness, all we have to do is ask for the help for healing. You know, a lot of things I used to try to do on my own, I still do, you know, I still do my effort towards heart chakra healing and writing and releasing. But what I've been learning to do lately is by going to the higher beings, to the ascended masters who are there for healing. They got archangels who help us to heal. And sometimes all you have to do is ask, please help me to heal this. There are some things that I've been realizing, like, damn, I've been trying to heal this for years. I thought I was healed, then it come back. I thought I was healed. So I realized I need extra help outside of myself. And when I do that, I get those downloads in my dreams. I wake up feeling a different type of way. It's sometimes I always like to call it like a supernatural healing. If you ask, it's given. It's like, what are we asking for? You know what I'm saying? Are you asking for money, car, and clothes? Which there's nothing wrong with that because I ask for those things too. So let's get that straight. But it's like, what are you asking for? Anytime you go to the spirit realm, you ask for spiritual things, I promise you'll receive it. And if you're going to the spiritual realm and you're asking, please help me to heal. These are wounds that I have. Please help me to heal this. You're going to get that healing. And guess what? When you're healed, you easily manifest anything that you could ever want in the 3D realm. That's easy stuff to do. The hardest thing is the healing process. So it's a beautiful that you asked that. Another thing that I wanted to talk about was he talked about symbolism in an astral realm. So I want to explain this to people because when you're in the astral realm, you got to understand the astral realm is a space that is basically built off of the memory, the consciousness. So like let's say today they knocked down the White House and they just bulldozed it and they put a black house up, right? Now you got to understand that when you astral project in the astral realm, you know how many people remember that White House being there? That's already so deep in the collective consciousness. That's how you keep things alive. Even when we have certain figures, Jesus didn't really walk the planet, but Jesus does exist in the astral realm because we've made him through a thought form. So now there are many different types of Jesuses in the astral realm because we created them mentally. So the thing, even certain people, like you know how they'll say a person is an icon or living forever. Even Michael Jackson still exists in the astral realm just because people still remember how he looks. People still remember Michael Jackson. People still talk about Michael Jackson. So he's still alive. Even when we talk about keeping our ancestral altars, you know why we do that? To keep the memory, the astral memory of our ancestors alive in the ancestral realm. And we could still pull from their energy. That's not necessarily our ancestors. That's kind of like a holographic creation, which is a whole different type of story. Sometimes your ancestors really are here, but a lot of our ancestors that we actually connect with, these are astral projections and memories of our ancestors that we could still pull from because guess what? All of the thoughts that they ever thought are still here in this astral realm. So I said that to say one of the first times I astral project, I remember I went to my apartment because I had a boyfriend at the time. And I went to my apartment in that same astral projection experience I told you about with the White House. I also went to my apartment. So I astral project to my apartment and my boyfriend's literally sleeping on the bed. He's sleeping. His eyes are like, you know how when they say the rapid eye movement, that's what his eyes were doing. So I sat on top of him in my astral body and I was waking. I kept shaking him, trying to wake him up. So I woke him up and there was questions that I had to ask him, which I'll keep to myself, but I asked him those questions. When I was walking in my house, it was so funny because it didn't look exactly like my house like it did, the structure wise, but there were boxes and all kind of stuff in there that I didn't put there. So then I realized the people who lived there probably before me might have had those boxes sitting in that area for a while. So a lot of times, even the things that you see, that you know people could say is like symbolism or different things. The reason that it might not look exactly how it looks right now is because there's still memory of what existed there before the time now. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I just wanted to explain that because that's a big part of astral projection as well. It's like you got to remember that the astral realm is different. It's like it's changing, and it takes a long time for things to change in the astral realm. So, like I said, if they knocked down the White House today and built the Black House, 9 times out of 10, if a person astral projects to the Black House, they're not going to see the Black House. They're going to see what already existed there before, which was the White House.
Love it.
That's interesting. That's interesting that you say that because one of the things that you had mentioned earlier was the teachings of Abraham. And that is one of the first things that I started with. When I first got on my spiritual journey, the first thing I started looking into was angels and archangels, all these different type things. I had no knowledge of anything that I had dealt with till I just, kind of like how you said, your third eye just pops open. My crown is just open. I can see spirits now. I can feel them. I can hear them. I'm like, oh, this is intense. And I went to go get some books. One of the first books that I got was Asking It Is Given by Esther and Jerry Hicks.
Right.
And that book was a game changer. When I tell you it changed my life, I was like, okay, I've never even heard of these different type of things, but it always tells you to ask for exactly what you want and know that it's, given to you. And a lot of the different books that I would read on angels and archangels would always talk about healing. One of the first archangels I ever worked with, and I never looked back, even though, people have their own beliefs regarding angels and different things like this, but this is just how it was for me. I first dealt with archangels, and the first archangel that ever, revealed themselves to me was the Archangel Raphael, which is the Archangel of healing. And anytime that I would need to do some healing work, I would lay back on the bed and say, I need you to heal me. And go through this process where it just felt like waves of energy coming over me. And that's one of those things, dealing with the healing process and the healing work, even before bed, just stating that, okay, when I go into this realm, I'm going for healing. You know, when I go to sleep, I'm going to get healed. Any, like you said, any ancestors, any, past loved ones, anyone, um, a lot of things are stored in the collective unconscious, and that's what we get when we go there. So it's always easy to tap into that, and right before you go to sleep, to make manifest in the astral realm is to declare it. So I learned to ask, like you said, and I think that's very important, to ask before you go to sleep for the healing that you're looking for. And sometimes it would be beings that I've never even seen. I don't got a name for them. I just know they came. You know what I'm saying? Almost like, like who I can't remember which one of y'all said about the hospital or whatever. But I remember when I first started asking for different healings in the, in the dream space, like, hey, I want this to be healed. I want, this to be healed. I remember being on something that looked like an operating table, but it was just a flat table. And I would lay there and I would see these beings come over me, and they would literally, it would look like they were doing like some type of operation or something. And I remember waking up and I would only see like bits and pieces of these different dreams, but I would wake up and I would feel so energized, like Trav was saying, you wake up with this different energy. And that happened for a while. So I think getting in the habit of, I also had to lower my expectations too, because I would be thinking in my mind that something has to reveal itself a certain way, and it wouldn't reveal itself that way. And it would be completely different from how I was imagining it, but still being open to it. Because I think a lot of times when we have a certain way we want something to look, we can also prevent ourselves from being able to receive a certain type of healing, because we're thinking, okay, well, this is what I know of this to look like, or different things like this. So if you have an idea in your mind of something and it doesn't happen that way, you'll think like, okay, maybe I don't want this healing, or maybe I don't want this, because you're so, your mind still has barriers and blockages, to these different entities or beings or whatever you might see in the astral realm. And I think it's important to, not to create any barriers or blockages by seeing in your mind what you are expecting something to look like. Because when I would see these different beings and stuff like this, I'm like, this don't look like the archangels, like, this don't look like what I read in the book, and it's like, but still, then having to see that we don't perceive things, the same way, and knowing that, our perception here is definitely different from what it is in the dream space and in the astral realm. So just to help ourselves do healing, to ask for healing, will help us to remove a lot of those blockages of how we expect things, to be received for us. And I think that's important too.
Really is. Yes. Yes, it is. That's good. And that's what I want to shift gears a little bit, man. I want to shift gears. Hey, look, family, there's a lot of information getting dropped right now. A lot of jewels. Y'all like and share the video. Y'all subscribe to Mook. Y'all subscribe to D-Ray. Subscribe to Pretty Ball. Subscribe to Travis Majors. Y'all subscribe, because we got a plethora of information on all our channels that's powerful and bringing some light. Subscribe to Love Lift Light, the channel y'all viewing on. Look, let's shift gears a little bit, because this always bothered me. Every time I looked at your videos, Pretty Boss, I'm like, God damn, what? How many does she have? Wow, that's crazy. So I wanted to ask you, how many tarot decks do you have?
That's funny. Like I would have to count. I probably have, I probably have like maybe anywhere between 40 and 50. That's just a guesstimate.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, and it's funny because y'all actually just started doing tarot like last year in April, I wanted to learn something new. And my abuelita, well, my great great grandmother, she was actually a tarot reader in Panama. People used to fly from the United States to Panama to get readings and all kind of stuff from her. So that's how she supported the family, like off of her spiritual work. And it's funny because my mother doesn't do any of, none of the rest of my family tapped into me. And so when I started studying tarot, I was studying like just to study it to get the symbolism, but then I started to mix my spirituality and I started really asking my thanking my grandmother, my great grandmother, for helping me to increase my psychic abilities. And so from studying and then doing the spiritual work with it, it just all clicked. And so it's like I just started doing tarot a year ago, but it's like it's one of my favorite things. I feel like it's one of my callings. Like I absolutely love tarot. So that's why I only have 30 to 40 decks, but next year it'll probably double or triple.
Yeah, because I'm like, wow, because we can never tell, but it looks like wow, like you have hundreds of them things for real, and it's powerful how the tarot, in a sense, is what you call a calling mechanism for the subconscious mind. The symbols are the language of the subconscious mind, and a picture tells 1,000 words. So, can you kind of tell us the benefits of using tarot or tapping into that inner knowing right on hand? Like, should everybody be doing this, or is there just a select few of people that should try to use it, like the gifted?
Another beautiful question. So no, first of all, we're all spiritual beings. Anything that you ask for, you can have it. So if you want to be able to interpret tarot, that's something that you'll be able to do. You just have to dedicate yourself to it. So the benefit, beautiful question of doing tarot, what I like to tell people, it's like learning another language. So let's say you speak English. That means you can only communicate with people who speak English. But now let's say you learn Chinese. Now you can communicate with like millions of more people than you could have communicated with if you just only spoke English. So that's the same thing with tarot. It's like when you get different types of divination tools, because tarot is just a divination tool. You also have pendulums. You can use crystals. You can use symbols. Tarot is a form of symbolism. Also, even when we're working with deities, that's like a symbolism. So the more that you open yourself up to, the more different types of ways spirit is able to communicate with you. It used to only, for instance, let's say I would pray or I would meditate or I would just go in my dream world. Now it's like I don't only have that, I could go to tarot. So it's like now I've opened up a new way for spirit to communicate with me. And as a result of that, I've been able to help other people through that gift as well. But it's just like learning another language. So I say definitely, like anybody who feels compelled and wants to do it, just go for it and you will learn. You just have to dedicate yourself to learning it and then also letting spirit be involved in the practice so that the conscious mind and your spiritual mind can come together as far as interpreting the messages.
Yes, that's facts. And yeah, that's what it is, family. That's what it is. Because that tarot is interesting. I know my queen does it. She like pulls a card every morning just to, see where the energy is, see what her symbol is. And then we also decode our dreams or our astral experiences upon waking up. So we can kind of bounce ideas off of each other and kind of, not have an ego about what our dream is, but kind of be pure heart of the symbols that we received and what it actually means to us. So yeah, that's powerful. Yes.
Let me add something, babe.
Oh, yeah.
First of all, Trav and Babe, I mean, or Mook and Pretty Boss, we just gonna have to do a feminine energy one because these male energies, they not even being able to get in here and talk. We gotta do something just us. That's too funny. Just real quick about the tarot, your spirit will call you when it's time for you to engage in these new things. That's why you have to understand your intuition, how it communicates to you. But Pretty Boss, what I want to ask you is about working with deities. Just because we keep on bringing up deities, so obviously we got to talk about it. What is one of your, I mean, you can't say what's your best experience, but what is one of your most memorable experiences of working with a deity? How did spirit channel to you that it was time for you to work with this deity? And what type of work did you put in to invoke and evoke the energy of that deity?
Okay, great question. So this is gonna go back to to what I was talking about earlier because I didn't get all the way into it because I would have been talking for like 30, 40 minutes. So the time that I told y'all when I had read Revelations and my third eye open and all that type of stuff, a week later, I was in my room sleeping in my bed, and I had an astral projection outer body experience, but I didn't go anywhere. I was just in my room. So I sit up on my bed, and there's an entity. This is the first time, y'all. I've always had sleep paralysis, astral projection, and had never seen an entity sitting in my area. You would hear things, but I never saw. So this time I woke up. This is like when I'm 21. I see the entity sitting right there on my bed, and I was frightened. He was sitting like at the foot at the end because I had like one of those slave beds back then. So he was sitting sideways, and he was sitting like towards the foot area. So I wake up and I'm frightened. Like when I tell you I'm so scared, immediately this entity took the fear out of me. Like literally just stopped it. And it was like kind of like a telepathy type of thing. So then I remember I reach over to the entity and I scratch it to see if it's real, and it scratches me back. So I'm like, oh God. So I stopped. And I remember my mind was clear. It's like the fear was gone and we were communicating telepathically. So then I was like, you remember I'm telling y'all this is back when I used to be super Christian. So that's the only thing I'm thinking. So I'm like, who are you, Jesus? And he didn't say anything. He just took a deep breath in, like, and he grabbed his beard. And then we got into having a whole different type of conversation. Now, back then, I had no idea who that was. But when I put together that the eye came to me, which that's Horus, I know that that was Horus. And it's like even a lot of people who, a lot of things have been whitewashed over in our society. A lot of our history has been drowned. But it's like Haru Horus came before there was anything known as the Christ. And that energy that they put the Christ to represent is actually Haru's Horus. So that was my first time. I was like, it came to me. I didn't even know about dealing with deities and all that. I was super Christian back then. So I'm not I didn't even know who a Haru or Horus, none of that was. I didn't put that experience together until many years later when I really got into my spirituality. Then when I was like, okay, let me start working with deities. That's why even now, like Horus, that's like I love the eye. Like that's just my symbol because I feel like that's a spiritual parent for me. But then when I was studying the Kabbalion, all right, when we talk about the Kabbalion, we're also talking about Tahuti. That's the god of knowledge, wisdom. So when I was studying the Kabbalion, I was studying the Kabbalion for years. Like that's why I'm able to teach these things now because it's not like I just YouTube searched it and then started talking about it. Like I have been trying to study the Kabbalion for so long. And when I finally, it's like I would get it, but then it wasn't clicking all the way. And I was like, you know what? Let me start trying to see if I could channel Tahuti to learn the Kabbalion. So when I was channeling Tahuti, I would just basically anoint my Tahuti statue, anoint my third eye, and then I would study the Kabbalion. And I was doing that for like a year. And I remember like all of a sudden, like I just started to get it, like the back of my hand, like I get it, I get these laws. The next deity that I worked with was Kali. Now, Kali was a goddess. And I don't know, I was just drawn to Kali. I don't know if any of y'all are familiar with S. Ali Myers, but he has this book called Deity Linkage Manual. And that was my first deity book that I got. I got the book and he has it to where you can put your numbers, and your chart will tell you what deities to work with. So one of the ones that came out for me was Kali, and that name had been sticking out to me for a minute. So then when I got the book and I seen Kali in the book, I was like, let me work with Kali. Now, when I worked with Kali, I became Kali. Like I remember I had a dream to where I was Kali. Like I was doing some type of ritual dance and I was the goddess Kali. So that's like one of my favorite original deities that I worked with. Then I started to work with Oshun. Like when I was doing like beauty jars and money jars, I was working with Oshun and Lakshmi. With all of that being said, I love deities. The only deity that I really work with at this point right now, I love working with Lakshmi, and I also work with the goddess Kuan Yin. Kuan Yin is a goddess of healing, and she's especially for healing the divine feminine. And so that's what I've been working on in my life is like my whole thing is my divine feminine aspect. So that's literally the only goddess that I've been truly working with, like for real, for like the past couple of years. And anybody who's interested in working with deities but might feel like, I don't know about it. One thing that I could say is you have to understand that when you work with certain deities, they have different polarities. So you might be dealing with Oshun, but Oshun is not all love and light. You might also get the wrath side of Oshun, depending on what you're dealing with. The two deities that I work with that I've never felt a wrathful side from is Mother Lakshmi and also Kuan Yin, especially Kuan Yin. Like that's just a healing energy. And
I
she's been
have to second
all the
that.
time. Huh?
I was gonna say I have to second that about the Lakshmi, because that, I'm gonna let you finish, but you said Lakshmi and that just got me excited all over again.
Go ahead, say what you gotta say, Queen.
No, because I was like, deities, it's interesting that you said S. Ali Myers, because that was literally, I watched some of his like first videos, and how I started working with ancestors, like just a little bit of a backstory. It was like 2014. My great grandmother, who's native, Choctaw native, she passed at 100 years old in 2014. So that was my first ever like a person that I knew in my waking life, and actually an actual ancestor passing over. Fast forward 2017, I started getting more into astrology and horoscopes, and I had since my first beginning in my awakening, the first thing I did or was guided to do by my spirit guides was to go grab the tarot cards. I never really dug into them too much. I kind of put them aside and got more into my books. And I read, one of the first books that I read was When God Was a Woman. And I started reading all these different type of books. And I remember just being like led to do certain things. I remember calling my great grandmother. She raised me, and I was like, "Do you have any pictures of my great granny?" And she said, "Yeah, I'm gonna send you some stuff." So she sends me a picture, and she also sends me a picture of my great grandmother's father. And so I had that picture, and that was, I first put it up on my altar. And I said, how do I honor these people? I don't really know them, or do you know what I'm saying? I had been out of like religion for a long time. And I'm like, I don't know how to like honor these people. And I remember a friend telling me, oh, put them some food out. And I said, like regular food, like I'm supposed to, like, I don't understand. She's like, just how, if you would eat, however you would make your plate, you make them a plate and things like that. The first time I ever did that, it was really more unconsciously just kind of letting spirit guide me as to what to do. And I started getting a lot of downloads after that. Life just kind of started going, the tower moments just started falling. And I'm like, what is going on? What am I tapping into? And I remember after that happened, I had seen a video by S. Ali Myers of how to honor your ancestors. This is fast forward to 2018. And I look at the video, and he's, teaching about burning ancestor money and different things like this. So I said, okay, and I went and got, all the materials that, I was hearing him talk about, and just like doing little stuff, little by little, picking up pieces and being guided and led, but I was only working with my actual ancestors at the time. And I remember, getting some type of download about Lakshmi. And I never knew anything about Lakshmi. I didn't know much about different, during that year, actually, let me go back. During that year, I started getting downloads and channels I had never channeled before. And so between the end of 2017 and the beginning of 2018, I started getting a lot of channels where I would just go into like a deep meditation, and I would get channels from all these different gods and goddesses. And it would be so many of them, I'll be overwhelmed. And I'm like, okay, well, if anybody has messages for me, I could get into this deep space where I could just get into the fifth and sixth dimension, just like eat very easily. And I remember them coming to me and saying, okay, this is what you need to know. And I remember Mary coming to me. And I said, I don't know anything about Mary. And Isis appeared before me and said, we're the same energy. And I was like, well, I knew about Isis because one of my first, like Pretty Boss said, which is even more spiritual, one of my first instances of spirituality was with Egyptian deities. And it was with, Horus and Ra and things like this. And I feel like I had an initiation during my original waking stages. And then to now, because my first tattoo that I ended up getting on the back of my neck is literally the Eye of Horus.
That's what I want to
And
get in the
so,
same spot, Queen. I still haven't done it.
yeah, I got that tattoo on the back of my neck just because I was so, I don't know, I was just drawn to that energy and like pulled to, and I said, I don't know what it is, but I'm connected to that. And so, fast forward, been doing research. So one of the first ones that I ever actually worked with, even though I felt connected to like Sekhmet years prior, the first altar I ever put up was during an Indian festival celebration called Diwali. And Diwali happens in November. And it's an Indian celebration. And I said, okay, I'm gonna learn about, Lakshmi. So I started learning about Lakshmi and, different things that she likes. So I started putting up an altar. And this was, my altar for Lakshmi was so elaborate. And they said, she likes to be on this altar with Vishnu and Ganesh. So make sure you have them next to her. So I went and got things. And I remember her energy being very gentle, very subtle, very loving, and she would just guide me. This energy would guide me. I would go into different thrift shops and different stores, and I literally found a picture of Lakshmi in a Goodwill. And I'm like, what? As soon as I started calling on this energy, she would just guide me and lead me to the point I would embody her. I went to the thrift store one day and I found even clothes where they were made in India, and it was literally in the garb that you would see. Like if you were to see a picture, it would be the same exact garb. She would guide me to clothes. And whenever I did my meditations and I would give offerings and things like this, she would tell me to put the clothes on. And I'm telling you, everything or anything I wanted, it's a very giving, a very abundant energy. And it is like it sharpened up my solar plexus a lot. So I say all that to say that is my favorite deity to work with still to this day. It's such an abundant energy. It's a very peaceful energy. And it was, I don't even know how to explain it, but it's very life-changing. So if you haven't, worked with deities, I think the only thing that I can say is that they actually come to you, because I didn't actually go seeking out, any of these deities that I worked with. They actually came to me by a spontaneous download, by I seen a sign, read a book, heard a, I would get, listen to maybe a reading or something, and something would stick out to me, but they would all come to me. And I think that's the easiest way. Like whatever you feel, the higher self guides you to, you definitely want to go with that, because that energy, I'm telling you, there was nothing like working with that. And I don't do much deity work now, but I will say that is, of all the pantheon, probably my favorite.
That's key, and it's so funny because that's my favorite pantheon too. Like I said, like Kuan Yin is the only deity outside of that pantheon that I work with, and it's like I just keep her energy around, But it's like Mother Lakshmi. I still got my Lakshmi statue, and like you said, I don't really like that anymore, because what happens is you embody the energy of the deity, which is the whole point of with them in the first place. Is you become that energy, you become that abundant, loving, compassionate energy. But I like Lakshmi is one of my favorites. She really reminds me of Kuan Yin a lot. They're a little bit different because it's like Kuan Yin only is focused on healing. Like Kuan Yin helps to heal trauma, but it's like Mother Lakshmi does too, but she's like an abundant deity, And it's funny because it's like, just like you're saying, they come to you. You don't have to figure out, like, there's thousands, millions of deities you could work with. Like, you'll be guided. Like, you'll see a name stick out. You'll see a book stick out. Something will come to you. Sometimes they'll come in a dream, like you said. Sometimes they'll come in a download, and that's how you know that's the energy for you to work with. Even if you hear about it, anybody who's listening to this call, if y'all heard us talk about a deity and it's like, yo, that resonates with me, that means that's for you. You mentioned Sekhmet too. Sekhmet is one of my favorites. I don't work with Sekhmet anymore, but Sekhmet, oh my goodness, when I tell you, made my solar plexus chakra pop. And Sekhmet came to me in a dream as lionesses. I remember I touched the lion. I saw a lioness and I was afraid in the dream. Something told me, like, don't be afraid. And I just looked at it like, I'm not about to chicken out. Because I remember, like, I was thinking consciously, if they see that you're scared, a lion will attack you. But then after that, I came out of that dream and then I started hearing things about Sekhmet. I'm like, that was Sekhmet, because she tried to come to me twice. Then when I worked with Anubis for a little while, Anubis was coming to me in the form of like Rottweiler. And German shepherds. And then I'm like, oh, that's Anubis energy. So they'll come to you in forms of symbols or dreams, but that's how you work with them. You don't really want to force anything upon yourself. Spirit will guide you. So that's beautiful what you said, sis. Like, that's complete facts.
I agree.
Facts on facts.
Let me make one comment, babe, real quick.
Oh my God, this
I just
feminine
really
energy
just one
take
comment I just
over.
have to say.
Hey, I'm just a servant in this world, man. You see, you know what it
Listen,
is. Go ahead, babe.
because we're talking about Lakshmi or the Hindu pantheon overall. And guess what? This past week, y'all, I've been doing intermittent fasting, only eating one meal a day, usually towards the evening. But my spirit led me to an Indian restaurant today that had Lakshmi and Kali and Shiva and Shakti all on the walls. And that night before, a vision of Kali just popped up into my face. I mean, just popped up in my mind's eye or whatever. So I just want to say before you continue, babe, that obviously that energy is very prevalent right now. We could all be tapping into it and using it for this space and time that we're in right now. Even 3 weeks ago, when I had a dream of being bathed or taking a spiritual bath, and Lakshmi and Ganesha were bathing me in my dream. All I'm saying is that, like the ladies were saying earlier, sometimes this energy is collective, sometimes it's just for you. But if it keeps coming up so much and we're all connecting and resonating with it, then maybe somebody else can be intentional about tapping into it and it'll make a difference for them.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I was trying to say, babe.
No, facts on facts on facts. That's it. That's powerful. Y'all know what it is, man. It's the feminine world, man. Y'all go subscribe to these goddesses. Also, we here, family. You see what it is, family. Yes. Go to lovelivelife.com. Go get your statues. Go get your Ashe cards. We invoking all these deities, man. It's going down. It's going.
And it's even dream that's spiritual. Okay, sorry, because you know I'll be having these thoughts be coming to me, but it's spiritual because you guys know, and a lot of people, a lot of my subscribers know, because you brought up Sekhmet, that is like, Sekhmet is me, I am her, we are one, you know, at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when you said, I'm going to send you something.
Mm-hmm.
You did not send me a Sekhmet statue. What did you send me, Dream?
I sent you a Lakshmi statue. Yep.
And I said, how did he know I needed this? You know what I'm saying? And I was like, and I still have her, she has her own space on the bookshelf and everything. But I think that's even more spiritual because your intuition told you to send me that, not the one that everybody knows that I'm associated with, but the one that I'm not so much associated with. You send me that one, and that is like my favorite. So I'm like, it's all so spiritual. And once you, what I like to tell people too, because a lot of my subscribers always ask about, well, when am I going to find my soul family? How am I going to find my soul family? Things like this. And it's like, I've been on my spiritual path for a very long time. And only in these past year, sorry about that, only in the past year or two have I been able to connect with other spiritual beings like you all, like, you know, D-Ray and Trav and things like this. And I think people have to know that you will feel it too. When you find your soul family, you come, you know, and all these energies start to come together, like, you'll feel it and you'll know it, and it won't be forced, and it'll flow and things like that. Because even now, I'm just so grateful, because if I have a download or something that I'm like, okay, D-Ray, you feeling this? Just like I texted you the other day and I said, I'm having a lot of heart chakra activity. Like, are y'all feeling this? Or is this something that I'm, you know, let me decode this, because am I going through this, or are we all going through this? And I remember, you know, D-Ray saying, no, we've been feeling a little bit of that too, you know, and I've been having a lot of like heavy and intense and very vivid and lucid dreams that are mimicking my reality to some point. And so I think, you know, it's amazing and it's beautiful how the soul family connects, and how we all collectively will pick up on each other spontaneously, simultaneously, like, you know, in these different ways, and how much like it all ends up being so synchronistic that you'll say like, okay, well, Pretty Boss had put out the video about the Virgo. You a Virgo, I'm Virgo rising. So I'm like, okay, let me tap into this energy. But when we talked about it, it was exactly what we had been feeling previously. So I feel like we can all feel when, you know, these things are happening collectively, like D-Ray was saying, like how we all kind of tap into, and when we see that there's a, you know, similar vibration happening, like there might be a video that I'm going to post, and then I see Trav post that same, I'm like, Trav, You know what I'm saying? You didn't beat me to it. I was about to say the same thing, you know? So I think it's beautiful. The collective is it's amazing.
Yeah. And that's why, the spiritual teachers and the spiritual master students that I reach out to, just like Pretty Boss, there's a pull, there's a draw there for me to where I'm like, man, I have to do some kind of reaching out, some kind of talking to, so we can get the deeper knowledge, because we're all on this journey, right? And the journey can be kind of scary, kind of lonely or whatever, but at the same time, and we need these other family members of us, our spirit family, that can kind of bounce ideas off of each other, and well, I did this and this will happen, like, you know what I mean? Like, me and Trav bounce ideas off of each other, and then I can go back and try it and build on my understanding of the of my own journey, of my own spiritual journey. So yeah, that's what it is, man. This family is powerful. Yes, man. Trav, come on with it. Bring some light. I need that's how we get, Trav. That's what happens to us. Real energy gets pushed to the side. We got to get pushed all the way to the back of the bus. Like, hey, man, you know what y'all here for? Y'all are the man, y'all are servants in this thing. Come on with it.
Yeah, I mean, what I understand is that there's a hierarchy of energy. Like, things have to be balanced in a certain way. Like what you were saying, us being pushed to the side, and also at the same time of how we all bounce off of each other. I'm noticing that it's not so much about who or what's more important. It's about what's needed at the moment. One of my studies, talking to this female, was about, a lot of people are into S&M style relationships, or how they want to do the role play where someone wants to be submissive and someone wants to be dominant. But in some of my meditations on that, I realized that people on the outside look at it at a very surface level way. The slave is actually the master. The submissive is actually the dominant one, because without the submissive person, the dominant person doesn't have anyone to exercise his will over. You see what I'm saying? Like, without the dominant person, the submissive person doesn't have anyone to exercise that submissive energy. It's a balance. All energies must express themselves in a specific kind of way. If anything is out of balance, things aren't going to flow right. That's why they've got that pyramid. At the bottom, you know what I'm saying, the energy that's usually at the bottom, it's more prolific. There's a lot of it, but that's because it takes a lot more. And then you've got a little bit of energy up at the top of the pyramid. It's the most powerful, but it doesn't need to be as dominant. You know what I'm saying? Like, everything has its place. Everything has its balance. Like, a lot of people, or there are some females who get upset about how the Bible says, the woman must submit to the man. But again, I think that people take that at more of a surface level. It's more about the energy. It's more about the relationship, the exchange of that energy. It's not about just letting somebody rule over you. You know what I'm saying? It's, everything has its place. That's all.
Oh yeah,
I respect that. I respect the hierarchy of energy. It doesn't have to be emotional. It doesn't have any type of emotional attachment to it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When it comes to spirituality and that type of thing, we need to get out of our feelings. And of course, I speak in general, not to anyone specific, but
facts. And that's what it is, man. That's what it is, Trav. We are the degenerate females of this thing. So we bow to the goddesses, man. We bow to the goddesses every day, all day. I ain't doing no tripping. We ain't doing no tripping over here, man. All right. So, yeah, man, this is a powerful share, man. I'm loving the downloads, loving the information. Pretty Boss, been awesome. You doing your thing. Family, I got more questions for the goddess, Pretty Boss. We in here. Anybody got more questions for the goddess? Man, I wanted to talk about stepping into this goddess body, right? Let's go back to that. When you step into this Pretty Boss body, right, Kendra? Okay. You're putting on this. Well, it's not let's say we're in this avatar. We have this avatar. So, people got jobs and stuff, right? So they got to put on a certain energy at their job. You know what I'm saying? And then when you're stepping into business acumen, this pretty boss acumen, you have to, kind of turn on that energy, like you were saying. So there's a willpower there. Because, in this 9 to 5 world, you can get real lazy. I mean, not in the 9 to 5 world, but in this entrepreneurial world, right? You can get real lazy. You can get real sluggish. You can get complacent. You can say, "Oh, I'll do it later. I'll just do it whenever." You know what I mean? And what I did appreciate about jobs is that you have to turn on, or you're not going to get paid. You see what I'm saying? You have to get up and turn up, or you're not going to get your coins. So can you give us a little idea of how you turn on your willpower, being just the ultimate entrepreneur goddess that you are? And what kind of strategies and techniques can you give to the family that's trying to pursue that energy?
Great question. So let me give a little bit of backstory. Like, I'm gonna tell you the type of person I was in school, because it's like it kind of goes down to like character and personality as well, if I'm using the right words.
Mhm.
But when I was in school, I'm gonna tell you this. This is since elementary school. Now, I was always the top of my class academically. I said that to say, even in elementary school, I remember even second, first grade. You know how you come home and your parents help you with your projects. Like, I never, not that my parents wouldn't help me. Like, my mother was the one who educated me at home before I went to school. So let's get that clear. Like, she educated me. That's why I was top of my class in school. But when it came to doing homework and doing projects, my parents never had to be like, "Did you do your homework? Do you need help with your project?" Like, I was self-sufficient in that type of way, literally since elementary school. My parents never had to come and be like, "Kendra, wake up, it's time to go to school." Like, no, I was up. You see, even if I went to bed at 3:34 in the morning, I'm up at 6 o'clock and doing what I need to do. So I said that to say, I remember being in school and it was like teachers would have to pull on some of my classmates' legs like to get work done. I'm like, I never needed anybody to tell me what to do. I've always been self-sufficient. And even when I was in like high school or elementary school, even in middle school, like how teachers would approach other people or tell them what to do, like teachers never told me anything, because it's like they gave me that respect because they saw that I was self-sufficient without instruction. So I said that to say that permeates over into my work world. So I don't need anybody. That's why it's like I had a 9 to 5, and when I was in high school, I worked at Foot Action, I just wanted that job. So I worked there for maybe a few months, and then I was done with that. And then after I graduated from college, the other 9 to 5, which was my real 9 to 5, I was only there for 7 months before I became self-employed. But even when I was there, I was the top of I was working at a call center. So I always had I was top quality. Like, it was me and one of my coworkers. We used to go back and forth between being number one. Both of us used to go back to back. And even then, like, I didn't need people to tell me what to do at work. Like, I've always been the type of person, like, whatever I do, I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. That's just how I am. I don't care if I'm working for McDonald's. So if I'm like that for other people's companies, of course I'm like that for myself. And it's like, that's what makes me an entrepreneur. Like, I always tell people, like, I swear I didn't choose this life. It chose me. And it's like, when I look back, I'm like, I was created to live this life. Like, I don't need to have a 9 to 5 to wake up earlier to go to work. Like, no, I'm going to do that regardless. Like, I'm going to work regardless. And it's like, even when I was on my journey, what I did start to see kick in was, even if I was working, then there would be a certain aspect of fear that kicks in. So let's say you have a great idea and you're like, "Oh, that's a great idea, but I'll do it tomorrow." That's really an underlying, it's like that's self-sabotage. Because
Yep.
it's like, you have an idea of something that you want to do it immediately. Time waits for no man. Especially as I realized, like, with my life, I could have a great idea, and then I didn't know next week was going to be a tower moment. So now I didn't even move on that idea, because now I'm in a whole different emotional and vibrational space. So what I do now, I don't play with time. Like, if the Most High gives me an idea, I'm moving on it immediately. Like, I'm not taking time writing it down and then I'm getting to work. Even if I just take one step towards it, I'm going to do it. And it's like, as I started to see that, it's like I've been able to really manifest things that even surprised me. Like, wow, in the past, even if I was still working, there were certain things that I might not have moved on just out of, I feel like when I look back, it was a type of fears. It was a type of self-sabotage. Because sometimes we're afraid really of how great we actually are, how great we can actually be. That's really what I feel our deepest fear is. That's one of my favorite poems. Our Deepest Fear by Marianne Williamson. I recommend everybody to look that up. But it's like our greatest fear is that not that we're inadequate, but that we're great beyond measure. And so it's like what we have to realize is like ask yourself every morning, like, do you want to have to wake up at 6:30 and get ready and take a shower and go to work and leave your family? Or would you just rather do that yourself and make money from home? So it's like I've been self-employed since 2013, like with no job at all. And like I said, like even back then, like if you don't work, you don't eat. That's the same thing. It's no difference. It's just like, do you need somebody to tell you go over there, do this, or can you do it yourself? Who do you want to listen to? That it's all a matter of mental. It's your mind. You know, it's what you program yourself to do, and it's also about will, because we all have free will. So either you use your free will for yourself, or you give the power to someone else if you need somebody to tell you what to do. So that's it. It's just all a mind thing. And for those people who don't have, you know, like you might feel like you don't have strong willpower or it's lacking, what I recommend is increasing your vibration, increasing your energy. So even what y'all were talking about, like fasting, the queen was talking about going pescatarian. You know, even if you're changing your diet, the way that I got out of my 9 to 5, y'all, had nothing to do with anything else. I wasn't meditating, none of that at the time. I went vegetarian. One of my friends kept trying to tell me like, go vegan. I was like, nah, I like Checkers and Burger King and all that. Like, I'm not stopping to eat that. And eventually I was like, you know what? Let me try it. So I just slowly started changing my diet and eating wild blueberries. And you know, I got my Patreon family on the money diet, so they know what I'm talking about. But I started to just slowly increase like my green intake. And as I was doing that, my energy started to really shift to where I remember I was in my office one day and I knew that I outgrew that environment. Like I knew that it just didn't fit. It just didn't even feel right. I'm like, yo, I'm not even, this isn't even me. This isn't even in alignment with who I am. So if you're having problems with will, instead of trying to attack it mentally or being like, okay, I know I need to do this tomorrow, put all of that down and just focus on your vibration. And one of the fastest ways to raise your vibration is through diet, is through exercise. A lot of people don't have enough willpower to exercise. So the first thing that you can change, because you're going to do it every day, is eat. At least change your diet. At least get a more alkaline diet. At least get more greens. Even not, I'm not saying that you have to be vegan, vegetarian, pescatarian, but at least make sure that 50% of your diet you're consuming dark greens. You know, even these days you don't even have to actually eat the vegetables. You can get the powders like spirulina, chlorella. Make sure that you're getting that high vibrational food in your system, and you're gonna see as your energy starts to change, you're going to be like a Superman. You're going to be doing so many things because you have the energy to do it. So if you have a problem with will, all you have to do is just increase your vibrational energy, and you'll see that everything else starts to fall in line as well.
Yes. Facts on facts on facts. Deliberate thought activated by the will.
That's perfect.
Yep. And that's
Make
what
one
it is,
change.
man. That's what it is, because you know what I notice is when I do feel that my energy shifting, because it's not a lot, but we're like right now in the season that we're in this energy shift that we were in, I started to feel my energy shift, and I told my queen, I said, you know what, babe, I got to do a fast. I got to do a fast. It's coming on. This is right after my birthday, August 23rd. And I'm like, I got to do a fast right here because I don't want to lose my momentum of this thing. And I want to keep, you know, my spiritual self higher, because I usually don't go without a dream, right? Like 2-3 days not recalling my dreams. And I was like, hold on, this is the third day without me recalling my dreams. Something is happening. So, and then especially if I don't lucid dream, I really start panicking if I don't lucid dream throughout like
that's like the first indicator when your dream world starts coming down. Like, no, that's fact.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, I got to do this fast. So I shifted my whole attention and said, let me power this thing up and drive this fast home. And I think right now I'm on this fast. Right now it's day 6, but I go in and out of fast. So, you know, I just kind of notice myself when I need to do it. And, you know, when it's turn up time, I do that. But yeah, that's powerful.
And I think that's one of the biggest things that helped me, especially with just getting into my spiritual practice, the first thing, because like I said, I went through phases where I felt like I had huge awakenings, and then I had almost not, I mean, there's no going back to sleep, but I wasn't fully involved in my spiritual practice. And so having what woke that back up for me is I wasn't on my path. So like a few people from my channel know, I had manifested a chronic illness. So I was dealing with fibromyalgia very severely, and it was like almost debilitating. Couldn't move, couldn't walk, and it was just being so far off my path. I was literally causing physical blockages that would eventually cause me to have to change something, in my environment. And I tell people all the time, the way I healed myself from a chronic illness that they say is not even curable was simply by diet, by changing my diet. The first thing I did for the full first year my son was born, when I had my 3-year-old, he's now 3, but when I first had my son for the whole first year, I was a stay-at-home mother, and I changed everything. I changed the way we ate. I changed we did not watch TV, like anything. How Kendra says that, how Pretty Boss says that, changing what you consume is so vital to it. Literally changed everything for me. I would only watch things that would either, be something that I could learn from, or it would be some like type of teaching video for the little one. I made everything at home myself. I made my juice from scratch. I went completely vegetarian. I would eat like the, substitute meats, you know what I'm saying? Things like that. And that's really what kicked it off. We would eat vegetables with every meal. Sometimes it would be all vegetables. All we would eat for dinner was just simply vegetables. And that slowly started to change my whole structure, my whole cellular structure, because I wasn't, they say that a body at dis-ease is an acidic body. And so being able to come out of that, you know what I'm saying, and then incorporating mantras for my subconscious mind, I started to put, Post-it notes all around my house. I had watched an episode of Being Mary Jane, and I seen she had these Post-it notes on her mirror. And I got a download from Spirit saying, you need to put your affirmations on these Post-it notes so you can see them everywhere. So I started doing that. I made myself a chakra wheel that I could look at every day. I put Post-it notes up on my window of my mirror in my bathroom. So every time I looked in the mirror, I will repeat these affirmations to myself. My body knows how to heal itself. I would tell myself that every day, eventually, until I literally released the disease from my body and from my mind. So it was a full transformation happening through what I ate, which started to clear up. Like I tell people all the time, the brain and the intestines look the same because they are connected. That gut in your mind, that gut being clear, okay, will help, increase your intuition and your intuitive abilities. Having a clear and clean gut literally helps your decision-making abilities. So everything that you said is so on point, because they're connected. That instinctive and intuitive feelings are one and the same between the brain and the gut, and clearing them both helps to, create so much more harmony within your mind, body, and spirit. So like D-Ray said, that one change will lead to another change, and it'll start to increase. But I literally healed myself. So I don't believe when they say that things are not incurable. You can cure anything through diet, through herbs, anything. I always tell people, increase the amount of tea that you drink. It's an easy way to get herbs, and to, cleanse your system is by simply drinking the herbs, drinking the teas. But I agree with that 100%. So I had to say that because I healed myself through diet.
Yes, yes. Also healing of the mind, the mental alchemy. Make sure all the family is doing that mental alchemy. That mental alchemy work is the first and foremost. If you can get that mind right, man, everything else will fall in line, because at the end of the day, the mind is all and the universe is mental. So we need y'all to understand that when you are healing your body, and you're making your brain stronger or your mind stronger, now you're able to think more clearly. Okay, but you still have to do the healing work. You still have to do your chakra balancing. You still have to do your meditations and just your recalling your past lives and all of this stuff to understand why you came back and understand who you are. I wish I had an echo thing. Man, this was powerful, family. This was powerful, powerful, powerful. Pretty Boss, you've been wonderful, man. You have been magical, wonderful. Yes, it's just great.
It was a pleasure to be on here. Like, I absolutely enjoyed this. I'm like, y'all are definitely in my soul tribe. Big facts. Like, I enjoyed it. Beautiful souls. Everybody had great content to share, and I know that everybody listening got at least something to take home.
Yes. We want to, anybody else got anything to ask Pretty Boss before we dive off of this thing?
Let me ask for the family real quick, even though I feel like we kind of answered the question in what we just said, but to be more deliberate. But before I do that, I just want to say thank you to Pretty Boss and to Mook, because I've watched both of y'all's videos in the past and has resonated so much with damn near every video. And it seems like almost every video I'm having the same kind of life experience. And it's just amazing how the frequency and vibrations work. But somebody asked in the chat, Pretty Boss, if they feel at one point they were able to get vivid visions and was on it on their meditations, but right now they just feel stuck. I feel like we kind of answered this question by saying, make one simple change in your life. Do one thing different and see how that thing expands your mind, expands your emotions, expands your being. Is there anything else you want to add to that for people who feel stuck spiritually?
Yeah, first of all, that's beautiful. Like, exactly. Try something new, right? And then another thing is simplify. Sometimes people feel stuck because you could be trying to do too many things at the same time. You could be trying to work with an ancestral altar, work with deities, fix your chakras, learn a new meditation. Like, it's so many things, especially online about spirituality, that people try to do everything at once. And it's like, that is one of the quickest ways to feel stuck. So if you're doing more than one thing to try to get unstuck, simplify it. And even if in that simplification, you're like, you know what? Instead of doing any of this, I'm not going to meditate. I'm not going to do none of that. I'm just going to start eating differently. Or I'm going to start going outside in nature every morning. Different things like that. If none of that, if you try all of that and none of that works, then you know what time it is. It's time to just be in that space. I get in that space too, where it's like I'm stuck. That still happens, even with me being Pretty Boss, with me being Pretty Boss TV spirituality. It's like I get sometimes to a point where it's like I'm just stuck. Like, I ain't, the dream world ain't popping like how I want it to be. The meditations, I ain't trying to do that. I'm eating, I'm exercising, but it's not moving anything. And so when I get to those moments where it's like I've done all, you ever know that Bible verse that says, when you've done all that you can do, just stand, don't do nothing. That's when I get to the more why Netflix and chill. I just do something else. Like, you know what? I'm trying to bump all that. I'm just going to do something where I can sit back, kick my feet up, and chill. Sometimes all I could do is just go to sleep. Like, I'm just going to go to bed, and in that, you're going to get a shift. Sometimes you just have to be in that space. Sometimes you have to be stuck. That's okay. That's part of the process. You just can't. It's like when we have expectations for our spiritual journey, that's where we trip ourselves up. But sometimes that's exactly where you're supposed to be. You're supposed to be stuck. So that's my piece on that, because I get stuck too. So when I'm there and I've tried and this and that, I just give up. I surrender. That's what you call surrendering. And you're gonna get a shift. You'll get it in the weirdest way. And then all of a sudden you wake up like, oh my God, I'm even further than I was before I felt stuck. That's just part of the process. You're in transition. You're in transition for this. The pendulum swing from the measure of the pendulum swing to the right is the measure of the pendulum swing to the left. So when you're in the middle of that pendulum swing, guess what? At one point of the pendulum swing, it's like in a neutral position. And that neutral position is where people feel stuck. But you have to understand the pendulum is going to swing back up to the other side, and you're going to be even further along than before you got stuck in the first place.
Let me ask one more question before we close out, because hearing my children laugh, how much they're laughing right now, I know you have some insight on this. How important is that childlike spirit and having that childlike altar as we're going through our spiritual journey? Because it's so important to laugh. It's so important to go back to that space where the programming wasn't so heavy, where our imagination was vibrant, where we felt any and everything was possible. What's your experience of dealing with that childlike spirit? How do you get into that energy stream and all of that good stuff?
Well, that's a great question. It's like it's funny because the more that I've healed over my process, I always tell people this, and people who know me in real life, like I'm one of the goofiest people. Like I know I do my spirituality, and y'all see an aspect of me, but it's like I am the goofiest person. Like even when I'm just chilling, like I constantly have just random thoughts run through my brain that just makes me laugh. It's like I don't take myself seriously for real, you know. And it's like even other people, it's like you know, you just gotta have fun. Like I'm the type of person that you know how kids get on the cart at the grocery store and you get on the back of the cart and you ride it to the car. Like I do that. I just still literally do stuff that I did as a child. Also, like I remember it was a part of my healing process. I'm glad you asked that question. I used to love playing with Barbies when I was younger. Some of people who follow Pretty Boss TV know I got a whole doll channel. It's called Doll World Shows on YouTube. But it's like I used to love Barbies when I was younger. And I remember that time I told you where I was in my divorce. I was back at my mother's house, back to rock bottom. I had a dream about Barbies. And I woke up and in the dream I was so happy playing with the Barbies. But then I woke up, I was like, yo, I'm a grown ASS woman. I can't be playing with Barbies. And I remember something told me to like just YouTube Barbies on YouTube. And I seen it was a whole bunch of adults with these doll channels with Barbie. So, and then I had a daughter. So I'm like, yo, this is my excuse. I'm going to start doing doll videos. Like, and I started playing with my Barbie. Y'all, that playing with my Barbies, that's an excellent question that you asked because I almost would have forgot this. Like, I still have Barbies. I don't play with them anymore. I have the largest Barbie house collection. Like, my daughter has a room like full of 10 Barbie houses. But it's like I started playing with Barbies, and I promise you that just made me feel good again. Like sometimes you have to do things that you did as a child. And it's like even on my doll show, like I'm playing with Barbies, y'all, like recording it like how I would play with Barbies when I was a little girl. And when I tell you that opened up a level of healing inside of me that nothing else has, playing with my dolls, that was my piece. And I'm doing that as a grown woman. Like how old was I when I first started playing with my dolls again? I was like 27, 28. Grown. I got a whole doll Instagram account too. And it's like that doing something that I love to do as a kid is what helped me tap back into my childhood. And it's like, you know, when we get grown, it's like we think like even, you know, people would judge men like, why are you playing with video games? Why not? That's where they find their peace. That's why they find their fun. At least once they're paying the bills and doing what they got to do, you can go ahead and play your video game. But it's like a lot of times we stop doing the things that we did that made us happy as a child. We got to ask ourselves why. You might like roller skating. Just go roller skating. Why don't you roller skate anymore? Because you're not in middle school or because you're not in high school. So when you start doing things that you love to do as a child, you'll see how that opens up a whole nother aspect in your healing process. And it really puts you into your childhood like energy again. And that's something that's very important to me. That's why I say, even like my friends, like people who don't know me and will meet me, or like even one of my last relationships. Some people be so surprised like how childish I am. Like I really have fun. Like I'm not really that serious because it's like I work all the time. So it's like when I'm not working, I don't got time to be serious like that. I like to have fun. I like to laugh. I'm a joking type of person. I mess with people even in public, not in a rude way, but I'm just like an outgoing social person. And so it's like that's extremely important. People get so serious in life for what? You know, Earth is supposed to be our playground. We heal, we help, and we came here to play, especially as light workers.
Yep. I sing
Beautiful.
because I'm happy. I sing because I'm free. For his eyes is on the sparrow, and I know he watches me. Y'all better get on cue. Come on, I'm singing because. Oh, okay.
Y'all know that song too.
I thought y'all was
I'm over here dancing like, okay.
But hold on, babe, because you tapping into something right now. Me and Mook talked about this before, and Pretty Boss, I know you're gonna have some insight on this. Because I messaged Mook one day because a gospel song just popped into my head. And I was just like, what the hell is this? You know what I mean? And Mook said, you know, sometimes these old songs that were in our programming come up because they put us in a better vibrational space. Because when we think back when we were going to church, the music was the best thing popping. You know what I mean?
That's why I used to like to go. Exactly.
The music
Praise and
was
worship.
the best thing popping, the praise and worship portion. So,
Just-
babe, you know what? We
Y'all
gonna
heard
jump in there. We're gonna jump in there with you because
y'all
this
heard me
is
at the
Sunday
beginning.
service.
Y'all heard me at the beginning, man. I was trying to get y'all remember that song that used to make y'all dance? I can dance, 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 dance all night.
The thing is, you know what? And I did tell D-Ray that because it was spiritual how it came to me because I listened to a lot of different music and I started one of the things that started giving me like downloads and awakening, messages and stuff was through Fertile Ground. If you've never listened to Fertile Ground, Navasha Daya is the main singer of the group, but Fertile Ground is a group and they do all the I'm telling you, just listen to Fertile Ground. What song is like probably I Remember You. Look up Fertile Ground, I Remember You. But their whole catalog is amazing. It's a very spiritual group. But it used to give me a bunch of downloads and stuff like that. And so I couldn't always find music like that. And I remember one day just being in a space of like I had a tower moment and I was going through another huge transition. And I just was feeling defeated at the time, and like gospel music had came to me, and I said, well, I don't listen to gospel no more. I don't go to church. I don't do any of that. So what would be the point of this? And as I was meditating with my higher self, because I'm the type of person where I go into spontaneous meditation when I get in the car. If I'm in the car more than 10 minutes, I go into meditation. So I'm always listening to my music and getting downloads that way. And I remember some gospel coming up, and as I was communicating with my higher self, like, why do you want me to listen to this gospel music? And it was literally communicated to me that the vibrational frequency of it, because it is a praising of something higher than yourself, or to give praise, where it's due, to a higher power, no matter what the Christian, taking out the Christian aspect of it spiritually, music being a spiritual thing, and being able to sing hymns, songs of praise, things like that have always been spiritual, even back to ancestry, singing things. So it was about being in a certain vibrational frequency of giving gratitude, even in the midst of your turmoil. So it was a very spiritual thing, and taking ourselves out of the mindset that you listening to gospel music does not make you a Christian. It has a certain frequency associated with it that will help to lift your vibrations through these different phases and different times. So when you're called to listen to it and get into it, because it's doing something spiritually for you. It's attuning you. You know what I'm saying? It's attuning you in a spiritual way to get into a higher vibrational frequency. It don't make you a Christian. It don't make, you know what I'm saying? And people get into that mind state of like, oh my God, I'm gonna be back in Christianity. If I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Like, just chill out. It literally has a frequency to it. So that's why a lot of people will go into, catch the Holy Ghost or get into these different very highly spiritual things happen while listening to gospel music, because it takes you out of body. It is a out of body experience that people are having because it's connecting you to source. Now, if you intentionally connect to your higher power, what you believe to be as your source or your God or your creator or the most high, you're going to connect to that regardless, intention wise. You know what I'm saying? You set your intentions that when I listen to this, I'm connecting to my source, regardless of where this or who created this. My intention now is to create a connection between me and source while I listen to this, and my higher power, my higher self, as I listen to this music. And you will make that connection, and it will begin to heal you in that way when you use it purposefully and intentionally.
Mm-hmm. Facts on facts on facts. Man, y'all know the science of the organ, what they play in that church, man. This music has vibration. Music is vibration. Family, this was fun. I know, Pretty Boss, I know you have a Patreon Q&A you have to do soon.
I have a live stream at 2:30.
Yeah, I know, another one. So, I didn't want to hold you up or nothing like that, take up all of your time. But, man, this was such a powerful share, family, such a powerful share. Pretty Boss, give them all your information, your details, your Patreon, all of that good stuff.
Okay, well, peace, fam. I appreciate everybody who tuned in today. I hope that you enjoyed it. I absolutely loved it. I feel even more refreshed for the day and the week.
We gotta
Y'all
do it
can
again. Gotta do it again.
absolutely. Y'all can find me on YouTube, y'all. All you have to do is YouTube search Pretty Boss TV. Also, if you would like to join the membership community where we get it in even more behind the scenes of what we do on YouTube, you can join patreon.com /PrettyBossTV. I also have my website under construction, which is prettybossTV.com, but it's under construction again, y'all. But you can always lock that in because it's not going anywhere. So for right now, if you would like to book a personal tarot reading or consultation with me, you can email me at prettybossterror@gmail.com, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. And if you would like to follow me on social media, facebook.com/I am pretty boss and instagram.com/I am Kendra Justine.
Yes, facts on facts. Appreciate that, man. Y'all go follow loveliftlife.com. Subscribe to my YouTube page, my Patreon, Love Lift Life. Same as this YouTube thing y'all on, man. And go get your statues and Ashe cards. I'm breaking down all the gods on my page, so y'all go check that out. Everybody else start plugging away. Let's get it. Babe, where you at?
Peace, fam. Y'all go check me out at relationshipalchemy.org, where you can get your healing consultations, your readings, and things of that nature. I'm here to help you heal. So if there's any emotional imbalances and you're just trying to figure out where you need to be moving forward next to continue evolving your spiritual journey, you feel emotionally blocked, hit me up, relationshipalchemy.org, or you can email me at relationshipalchemy1144@gmail.com. Pretty Boss, thank you so much for coming on. Stay pretty, stay shining your light. It's beautiful. And stay on the lookout, everybody, because I have a feeling Mook, myself, and Pretty Boss will just do our own show. That way our masculine counterparts here don't have to be, sitting on the edge of their chair waiting to say something. But us feminine energy, we just keep on going with the flow and letting our intuition guide us. So stay on the lookout for that as well. I'm sure it'll come soon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank y'all so much. Also, it was an honor and a pleasure to be on this show. I love it. This is what I love to do. So it's like to connect with y'all and be on the same vibes, a blessing. So thank y'all as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Well, thank you guys. I'm actually doing a social media fast. So you guys won't see me on my channel this month, but come October 1st, I'm going to hit y'all with 15 videos of downloads because they'll be stacked up by then. But please, definitely check out some of my my older videos and some of the last videos that I put out. Hopefully, it'll resonate where it fits for those who tune in. But yes, definitely follow me. Like, share, comment, subscribe to So It Is Written. But yes, thank you guys for having me. As usual, the Soul family was in here today. It was very powerful. I feel energized by this conversation. Yes, Pretty Boss, you are so inspiring. So I think everybody could learn something, from you and your journey. And I feel like all of our journeys are so very similar. And, it's a beautiful thing to connect with you guys as usual. Sorry, Trav, you got left out. You and Dream had to take the back seat, but it was beautiful and it was necessary. But, as usual, I'm always grateful to be here.
Yes. Trav, where you at, man? Where you at, Trav?
I'm here. This is TK Trav, aka Travis Mages, here with LVX777. You can find me on YouTube, of course, just by searching Travis Mages. I'm also on Instagram. It's mostly where I do my videos, my posts, my downloads. I give away all the information that any newcomer would need to become an intermediate or more. Yeah, man, we just breaking down the science, breaking down the illusion. It's all happening. If you're looking for it, you will find it. If you're ignoring it, you're not going to find it.
Yes, facts on facts. And we on here every Sunday, family. It's the same local jokers. It's us, the family. This Sunday service is what we do, man. We just be on here and we just try to share light. Next week, we got the God, Kamani, the God that was all in Brother Panic's videos. Kamani. Yeah, he gonna be coming on. We had some questions about Panic, Pretty Boss, but we'll tap into that another time. So
Babe, can I say something before we leave? One last thing.
Go ahead.
I just want to really stress to everybody, because I know I was very driven to make a video about the energy right now. I know Pretty Boss made a video about the energy right now. Dreamwise, of course, just told you that he's fasting. Mook just told us that she's fasting away from social media and is doing the whole pescatarian diet right now. I'm intermittent fasting right now, 1 meal a day. And I just want to tell y'all in the chat room, please, y'all, this is such an important time to be really in that hermit mode, really going within, really rediscovering and understanding yourself. Because as the energy is shifting and we're going into this 2020, you want to have a great understanding of your personal energy and how you are evolving at this time and coming into full God realization. So please, please, please take this time to be going within and ridding yourself of something so that these greater, higher levels of consciousness can be revealed to you as we are all, coming into ourselves. So do something different. Okay. I think the moral of this video today was do something different to put yourself in that higher vibrational state of being. And it's some work in that, but the reward is going to be beyond your greatest expectations.
Yeah, we just left that energy of spiraling away. A lot of people, the last full moon and the last new moon had a lot to do with separating from people who are draining your energy, people who are not on your level. That last 2-3 weeks had a lot to do with separating and detaching. Now it has a lot to do with grounding and finding yourself by yourself, that hermit energy like y'all are talking about. That's where we are now. Everything goes in cycles, because that means next you're going to be finding new people and new opportunities and new things that are going to take you to that next level. So just ride with it, follow the energy, don't force anything, just go with the flow.
Absolutely.
Yes, family. Well, it was wonderful, family. Wonderful, man. I love it. I love it. Shout out to all the family out there. Shout out to all the chaos beings, man. We appreciate y'all for coming each and every Sunday. Man, like, share, and subscribe, man. And we'll see y'all next week. Peace out.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace.